And we're live. Bienvenidos, señoras y señores, una vez más a mi casa producción. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming once again to my living room production one more time. Today is a very special day. I have a very special guest. I'm here once again on a Sunday afternoon, trying to, like I said, be as efficient and continuous on my channel. I know I've been away for a little while. It's been a little while since I've done one of these segments, but I'm currently doing episode 4 of Xbotian Let's Talk Podchat with another YouTuber that I'm trying to represent in a different light and hopefully be able to give him back what he has given to the community as far as I've seen for a very long time, and help him grow his channel in as many ways that it will bring him, exposure, because he definitely deserves it. He's very different, very special, very kind, sharp as a razor, very methodical, well thought out, extremely well versed. But if I had to describe it, he's like YouTube's very own gentle giant. But don't get it twisted, because the most appealing part about him is that he can destroy you with just simple text and lingo, because he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's bringing to the table and what he says when he speaks. There's a saying in the gaming community, in the gaming world, that basically this would describe what he is, or what I think of him, the best, in the best of choices of words. And that's called that he would be what we would consider a hidden gem when we talk about games. He is a hidden gem on YouTube. And I truly, truly feel this way. I have been able to have the privilege to get to know him. We have become very good friends, even though I want you guys to understand that this has been a very hard task to bring to you guys today because of destination. He lives on the other side of the world, and it's not very easy for us to get together and do something like this. So his sacrifice for me today to help me out doing this segment will always be forever greatly appreciated and never forgotten. He's on Hawaii, and it's very difficult for him to be here today, but he's here nonetheless. So I want you to be kind, leave comments in the comment section below, be mature, no trolling. This is a segment and a channel that I want to be as professional and as mature and respectful to the nature of the community of gaming and what has now become part of pop culture. It's no longer a joke, as we all know. It's very well a big deal, and a lot of people are very much invested. So please, like I said, be respectful, and I hope you get it to know him the way I have, in a more personal level, in a very different way. Remember, there's a little tidbit. This guy's been around since Next Gen has been around, and he's never really has been talked about or given a fair shake, if you ask me, from the community. And I guess it's because he's not controversial. He's more about games and doing things about gaming. He's a gamer, So without further ado, I hope you enjoy. And guest, YouTuber, my fellow friend, my compadre, my comrade, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox All In channel, Sega Forever here. Dude, that was a huge, that was a great introduction, man. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you. You deserve it.
Wow.
You deserve it.
Dude, I don't know, man. It's like E3. It's like it's like the build up, man. Let's hope they like the delivery. So no,
Well,
it
it's
is
from the heart.
appreciated, man. Yeah, I
It's
know.
from the heart. I really mean
And,
it. Every bit of it, every word.
and that's awesome, man. I really appreciate that, dude. And for those of you guys out there, yeah, me and Hebot are pretty good friends. We started off as comrades on YouTube, being both
I
Xbox guys, but most importantly, Sega fanatics. So, and I learned a lot from Hebot because of I consider myself a Sega fan until I met him. So, so we kind of developed this relationship online, which has been really great. I really appreciate you having me out here, having me on the
No,
podcast.
thank you. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you. It's an honor. I'm actually excited. I have butterflies right now because I've been very looking forward to it for a long time. We've become really good friends, and you're a wonderful person. You're a wonderful human being. You're as good as it gets, yeah, so to speak. And I've been following you for quite some time, and I remember the first to your channel, and I said, well, cares about Xbox gaming and
right.
even the community. And I didn't see a lot of people outreaching to you and speaking about you and saying things like, go check out Sega Forever and things of that nature. So I remember when we were deciding to do our first Sega podcast with Jay Long and Master Chief. I said, look, I think I have somebody that would be perfect for this segment. I think I have somebody that deserves to be on the segment, and I want to reach out to him. I hope he doesn't ignore me because I know there's a lot of weirdos on YouTube. I hope he thinks I'm not trolling him. And I reached out to you, and sure enough, we exchanged numbers. You called me, and I really was like, I was happy because I really thought you were gonna be like, oh, I'm not talking to this dude. What the hell? Are you crazy? I'll be honest. I really thought that way. And remember when we spoke, I was by my aunt's house when we spoke the very first time. I was in a
Yeah, that's
family
right.
barbecue, right?
Yeah, you were.
And I was.
Yeah.
You remember I told you I was in a family barbecue, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful talking to you. I think we talked for like 2 hours, no lie. And I know you guys are gonna be like, "Yo, guys, talking for 2 hours." Oh man, this guy is wonderful to talk to because he's a gamer, and that's what drew me to you, even from your channel. So I hope today what I can accomplish is return to you a favor that I don't expect anything in return, but that I want to help you get your side as a different side of you, like, out there, so people get to know you on a more personal level, like I said, and see that you're a wonderful, wonderful channel, a wonderful person. You're a true gamer at heart, and that way you can get some exposure because I think you deserve it more than people give you the credit or the support to this point. Um,
Yeah,
so
thanks. Awesome.
I just sit down on my digital couch, have a digital piece, beer or a digital cup of wine, however, whichever floats your boat, whatever tickles your elmo, so to speak. And let's talk. Let's talk gaming. You see, I mean, if you have anything you want to say before we start with some of the questions, you're more than welcome to say whatever you have to say.
No, yeah, no, just again, thank you, man. I mean, you've been a great supporter of me. And that first podcast we did, I was really appreciative of that because I actually had something to say because, of course, it was all about the Shenmue thing and Sega in general. So
Right, right,
even on my channel, I don't normally just do videos just to do them. I have to want to do it. It's something I gotta either feel something for or be passionate about. I know you understand that.
yes,
That's why
absolutely,
sometimes
yeah, absolutely.
that's why sometimes my videos are few and far between because in the community, I just want to kind of be a cog. That's the only reason why I joined
Right,
YouTube is because as you well know, man, we're gamers first and foremost. That's how we've always been. We're multi-console owners, or at least I've
hmm,
always been up until this generation, to be honest. But
right,
when we talked about this, and we talk about this a lot too. It's just like when we were coming up, you owned every single console. You didn't.
right,
You might
right.
have like we were Sega fans, but if somebody was going to give us a Nintendo, like a Super Nintendo and we get Mario, we're gonna take it. You know, we're not we're not elitist, and we don't think any less of the other system. We just prefer Sega, and I prefer Sonic. But I love playing Mario, and I love playing Nintendo, and I love playing even PlayStation when it came out, and Xbox. So I mean, that was the whole point of
Right.
me getting involved in it, because you know the gaming's changed, man. Gaming's changed a lot, and
Oh,
so anyway,
absolutely.
that was the main drive for doing my channel, because like you, and I'm sure you experienced it, when the XB1 was coming out, and then I saw Rise Son of Rome, or I saw Killer Instinct, and I thought to myself, wow, man, this game looks good. And I'd be like on IGN in a chat room, and I was like, oh man, that Rise Son of Rome looks like I really like that game.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It
And
looked
then
amazing.
and then
Yeah.
you would get attacked. You would get
Right. Right.
attacked.
Like, you're crazy.
Yeah,
That's the PC version. It doesn't look like that.
and like every name of the book, man. And I give those guys credit. They came up with some stuff for Xbox guys that just blew my mind. You know, when you look at what they write and like, wow, you know,
Right.
how did they
Right.
put that,
Right.
how did they put that
Right.
to?
Right.
But you know, you call corporate slave, and you called
Yes.
all kind of all the every name in the book. And
Yeah, but that those rules only apply when it comes to Xbox, because if you're a diehard Nintendo fan or Sony fan, as you know, you're not considered a corporate slave. You're just, it's because they're great, and you can be fanboys of their company because they're great companies. You know, Microsoft is your corporate slave. You know how that is. So
Yeah.
this is a double standard. Okay, so forever, I don't have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Like for the example, like 20 million questions. I have a few. So you know, I don't want to tire you or overwhelm you. But my first question is going to come back to something that Forever taught me that I really didn't know about until we spoke, and I heard of it, but it wasn't certified and clarified until I spoke to Forever, which was that Sega generatedly started from Hawaii, their business or their company, and what it meant, what it stands for, and the reason that it was there was basically, I believe, it was for the military soldiers that you said.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the guy who started it, right? Because the title Sega actually stands for Service Games. So
Service games, absolutely. You see, this I didn't know this until Forever clarified it. I just had heard rumors about it and ramblings, but I wasn't sure. Forever lives there, so he knows the Hawaiian history, which made it even more meaningful for me. So Forever, being that you're from Hawaii, okay, and
yeah,
being that something so historical like a company like Sega that stemmed from your motherland, so to speak, right? Which,
yeah.
by the way, you should be extremely proud, because that's awesome as a gamer, to know such a thing. How did you start your roots in gaming, like in arcades, homes? What was your first introduction to gaming? Was it a console? Was it an arcade machine? Who bought your first console? How did it catch your attention in general, I guess is what I'm asking. And share it with us,
Sure.
please.
Yeah, well, yeah, no problem. So the very first time I saw an arcade, a video game arcade, um, we didn't have really any here in Hawaii at the time when I was growing up. But there's this place that I
Okay.
used to go to, because I used to live like what was considered the countryside at the time. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
so back where I was living, that's like in the Wahiwa area. So what we do is we just ride our bikes through the sugarcane fields and stuff. And there was a school there, and they'd have a summer program. And then up the road was this place called Hank's Barbershop. And you go there to get
Okay.
your haircut. And one day when I went in, he had this, there was this weird looking thing sitting there. It looked like a table, but it kind of was small, you know, and it had a glass thing on top of it. And I just saw it from a distance, and I walked up to it and I looked down on it, and it was Moon Cresta.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Here we go. History in the
Yeah.
making.
So I didn't even get to see a stand-up cabinet. The first cabinets I saw were the ones you sat down and it was a table, the table type cabinets.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So he had
Like Pong.
Galaxy, yeah, like Pong. So he had Galaxian, and he had
Mm.
Moon Cresta was the two games. And
Mm.
back then, of course, you know, growing up, we didn't have like money and quarters, but he was a really cool guy. So he'd see us come in there, and to kill some time, he'd open up the cabinet, and then he'd press that little tab, on the inside of the door. That the
Right.
quarter hits when you put the quarter in, it hits that tab, and that's what gives you the
Yeah.
credit. Yeah. So he'd
Yeah.
open it up,
Yeah.
and he'd
Absolutely.
like for us, he'd tap it about 5 times and let us play. He's a really cool guy. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Because my dad,
Yeah. When you
back.
flip it open, where you talking about where you flip it open and it has the coin slots to put the quarters, and then inside there's like this little switch, and you keep hitting that
Yes.
switch, and that's what it detects when the quarters go in and it gives you more
Yes.
credits.
To
I know
give you more
exactly what
credit.
you're talking about.
Right.
Mhm.
So yeah, he was a really nice guy. So he would let us do that. I mean, we couldn't stay there all day because growing up back then, man, my dad would never give me quarters for that stuff. My dad would be like, what?
I
To
just
give.
think it was hard times, man. The money wasn't the same back then either.
Well, yeah, money wasn't the same, and I mean, I don't. Growing up the way we grew up, because I've talked to you, I'm pretty sure I can say this safely. I mean,
Mhm.
this wasn't the most important thing in life. It
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, gaming
was
is a
more like,
hobby.
oh yeah, and it was looked at as a waste of time because you gotta get food and you gotta eat and you gotta have a place to stay. That's the way I grew up.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that was like, and then when people saw that, they just thought, especially in my family, they thought, it's a waste of time and money. So
Same here. Don't feel bad. Same here. Well, even with pop culture itself, like society, gaming, comic books, you see how big they are now. That now they're the front forerunners of pop culture in society. Back then, it was like you were either part of a cult, you were into devil worshiping, or
yeah,
something was wrong with you. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
you
It
were
was
definitely a social reject.
yeah,
Yeah.
social reject. Exactly, exactly. Continue. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but that was my first introduction to gaming was, and I that's the one vivid memory I have, man, is going to that barbershop, man, and that guy letting us play, and and I was
And
hooked ever since then. I mean, I was hooked. I
it
was I
for
was hooked from the get-go.
it forever ruined you.
Yeah, yeah, it did. I mean, just looking back on it now, that was the moment I realized that I liked video games.
Right.
So,
That's awesome. So okay, was gaming at that point when it started to evolve and got bigger little by little gradually in Hawaii, was it like did it become a big thing? Was it a thing at the time when you were younger?
well, since this is well, I was born in '73, so this was going into the '80s,
Okay.
and how big and this is a testament to how big arcades and video gaming became. Because we can
Hmm.
sit here and talk about when Pac-Man hit, and how Pac-Man was super huge, and it even had
It
its own
was,
song. That
yes,
Pac-Man,
yes.
it was everywhere. That
It
it
was the
even,
first major arcade game hit.
yeah. And then
Hmm.
you had your Space Invaders and you had that stuff, but
Hmm.
Hawaii wasn't shielded from that either. I mean, being that we're the 50th state and we're off the mainland, especially back then, things were a little bit more closed in here on the islands, at least from my point of view. But just
Right.
like anything else, man, if it was huge here as well, it was there was two things really big at the time. Okay, there was or three things that was really big in
Okay.
one at the time. Okay, video games when I was growing up, plus I was at that age. Um, Breakdancing,
Oh yes. Oh yes. Breakdancing. Yes,
breakdancing,
absolutely.
and here in Hawaii, reggae. That's when reggae
And
started getting really
reggae.
bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about wearing Michael Jackson's Thriller jacket? That was a big thing for a while, or a Beat It jacket.
Well,
Remember
so
that?
yeah, well, here's a funny story, man. When we used to go to school, my sister, we used to come home and she had the Off the Wall album and she had the Thriller album. Those are the two albums she had.
Okay. Okay.
She would play those things every day, and I couldn't stand it because it was like the same song over and over again. And but I couldn't do anything about it, man, because she used to beat me up. So
Oh
so
wow, that's funny.
yeah, so we come home every day, man, and she was a huge Michael Jackson. She loved that Thriller album, man. We listened to that thing, man, daily. And I'm talking album, man.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
talking
classic.
vinyl. I'm
Yeah, it's
talking the
classic.
vinyl. Yeah.
Doesn't get old. It's classic, man. It's a shame they're gone, but classic. Um,
Yeah, it's a shame.
now,
But yeah, so it
so
was huge. It was huge here in Hawaii, to answer your question.
nice, nice. That's what I wanted to know. That's fantastic. It's good to know that it was the same in other parts of the world because I was too little. When you're younger, you don't really think about it, and you're like, "Well, what does this mean? What does that mean?" You don't really think about it. But anyway, and my question. So what was your first console then? And it did you have a lot of like a lot of arcades in your general area? And if not,
Um,
what was the name of your arcade that you used to go to all the time?
Man, there was a place where I was growing up, I just used to call it the firehouse because it was
Oh,
right
the
down the
fire.
road from the fire station. But
Okay,
to be honest
okay.
with you, I don't even remember what the name of that
Oh
what the name of the
wow!
arcade.
No, you're little. You were probably not even paying. You were paying attention just to go in and play the games more than likely.
Yeah, and it's kind of a Hawaii thing too. We kind of give names to things here,
That's
it's just
funny.
especially back then, and it was part of that local culture. But there was a place that was really big time. It was called Castle Park when I was growing up here
Right,
still. Um, and
right, right.
it was awesome, dude. The entire in the castle, you go inside, dude, and it was like the biggest arcade I'd ever seen. Especially from
Nice.
Hawaii, you get your. We had a skating rink where you go to. They had games. There's a laundromat that had games.
Right,
You have
right,
a.
right.
But to me, that was like kind of the first ever like massive arcade that I've ever been into, that I've
Right.
ever gone to.
It was probably Sega owned, maybe, because Sega used to own a lot of arcades.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, and then unfortunately, it was an amusement park as well. Like they had a water park there. They had like go karts. It was like an all-in-one type of family entertainment place, you know.
Right, right. Nice, nice.
So it was it didn't. I don't think it lasted long. I can't remember how long. I think it was open for a couple of years, or it might be several years. But it was that was like the biggest. That's where you wanted to go, man. That was like our Disneyland when I was
That
growing up
was the
over
spot, right?
there.
I bet you a lot of
That was the key.
teenagers hanged out there too, right?
Yeah. Well, and, you know, it was kind of weird back then too, man, because of the way, again, not trying to get off subject, but just the way people are now and how accepting it is as opposed to back then, you know.
Right, right, right.
So, but yeah,
So
that was the biggest place. That was the place that you wanted to go.
the
At least
place
I
to
wanted to
be,
go.
the
Right.
firehouse. Okay, so let's call it the firehouse. Oh, it's all good. And does anything like that still exist now? Because as you know, a lot of the arcades are pretty much gone in a lot of areas and a lot of places.
Yeah. Well, since because here in Hawaii at least, there are still kind of places you consider arcades, but they
Okay,
also have a lot of
you mean like a Chunky Cheese type deal, or like
yeah, well, we actually
David
have a
Buster's?
Yeah, we have a Chuck E. Cheese. We got a Dave and Buster's.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
and then we have a place called Fun Factory.
Fun Factory.
But
Yes,
yeah,
yes. I've heard of
but
it. I heard of it.
as you know, I don't know, but at least here, I don't know how it is where you are, but at least here, they've had to kind of reinvent themselves. So they're not like arcades in the classic sense.
Right, right. No, no, I think
You
it's the
know?
same for every other area. It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of like almost like small amusement park with arcades,
Yeah.
but they're indoors.
Yes. So
Yeah, I
they
know
got the
exactly what
jungle
you mean.
gyms, and then you got the ticket games, and you can
Hmm.
win prizes and stuff. But some of the
Some of them
arcades,
even
man.
have like the old school laser tag too, right?
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
of them have like the old school laser tag. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean it's just this, it's a business, and they gotta be, I guess they gotta be diverse so that they can get, make their money, man. Because it's not cheap, and
Yeah,
arcades, like we talked about
absolutely.
that. Arcades have pretty much gone the way of the dodo, so to speak.
Right.
I mean, it's funny that we're talking about that
uh,
because I'm sorry, just really quickly. I
oh
actually
no, go
had my
absolutely go ahead.
360, I had my 360 in, and
Okay.
I for some reason I just felt the need to go check out my arcade. Do you remember when the 360 had that arcade for your avatars?
Yes, yes. It's still
Yeah,
there. It's still there. It just never got continued to get maintenance, but it's still
yeah,
there. Or updated
yeah.
rather.
I was in there playing. So I was in there
Really?
playing.
I,
Yeah, the
I,
other day.
the last game I bought there was Demolition Man, which is
Oh,
almost like the same.
nice,
It's the same
nice.
engine they used for the GI Joe arcade game.
Right, right.
It was pretty awesome. And they also had like Saturday Night Main Event there by Konami. They also
Yes.
had I think they have Blades of Steel there. They have a lot of cool games. They were supposed to bring Sunset Riders,
Oh, that game is classic.
and they never did, and that really got me I'm really upset because if you remember when you go in the arcade, the virtual arcade in that
Right.
app on the 360, there's a
Yeah.
little spot where you go in and you can view like a TV monitor, and it
Yes.
shows you all the games available. Right? Remember
Right.
that?
Yep.
If you
Still there.
continue to look
Still
at
there.
it, well, okay then. If you continue to look at it, it'll show you that Sunset Riders was supposed to come. It's there. It says coming soon, and they showed Sunset Riders, and they never brought it out.
Yeah. But once I saw Chrome they released Chrome Studios, I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't look good.
Yeah, I know. Which sucks because I would have loved Sunset Riders. They never made an arcade version for the home console.
Yeah, that's a great game.
It was awesome. It was awesome. So
Yeah,
forever,
sorry.
what was your no need, no worries. is your show. This is you're the spotlight. In other words,
Thanks.
So your consoles. What was your very first console? How many consoles have you had? Elaborate. Tell us all of them. And hello.
Oh, hello. I think we dropped for a second.
No, it's okay. I asked.
Okay.
If you could please elaborate, if you'd be so kind, if you don't mind, what was your very first console? Perhaps who bought it for you, and what were all the consoles you had, and which ones were your favorite, if you don't mind?
Man, I'm really gonna show my age here.
Oh boy, that's
and
good.
Not that I care.
At least I don't feel old by myself now.
Yeah. Well, not so much about how old I am, but I gotta try and remember.
No problem. Take your time.
Yeah. So. Well, that's an interesting question because I think this speaks to what's going on in the gaming community in general right now. Because you remember back in the day, you might not have had a console, but you knew somebody that did.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. You had that one.
I see where you're going with this. Go ahead. Continue.
So you had that one friend that had everything, right? I always had one friend that had everything. He had, you might have had just like the Bumblebee Transformer. This dude had the Optimus Prime with the sound wave and all the tapes, right? Exactly. You always had that one friend. So, thinking back to it, the very first console that I owned, and I'm talking that I consider I would consider mine, was the NES. Was the first NES.
Okay. The NES.
And the only reason I got it was my grandmother, because I was like on the honor roll, and I was doing I was always on the honor roll, 4.0, all that kind of stuff at school. So I
can tell you were on the honor roll. It shows. Go ahead.
Well, she actually went and talked to my uncle and kind of guilted him into buying me.
Oh wow!
A Nintendo Entertainment System.
Grandmas do that best. Do that best.
Well, it was weird because my grandmother hated that kind of stuff, though. Okay. She didn't see any value in it, So, and I've told you the story, right? Like the time I wanted to get a Transformer, and we walked into the toy store, I was finally going to get one. And what happened was, this is the messed up part, because the Transformers were always in the back, and then the toys that the toy store was trying to sell or get rid of was always in the front. Right. So we were headed towards where the Transformers was, man. And then as I was walking, I was ahead of my grandmother. Then I noticed off to my left there were GoBots, right? So I saw
the GoBots. GoBots. Yes, absolutely.
So of course they weren't as popular, and I looked to my left and I was like, oh man, GoBots are like, you can get 3 for $5, right? So I'm like, oh, if my grandmother sees that, dude, she's gonna go directly to the GoBots, and I'm not gonna get my Transformer. And sure enough, dude, she's like right behind me. She saw that. She goes, oh, what are those over there? Is that what you want? I said, oh no, it's in the back, Grandma. It's in the back. We gotta go to the back. She goes, oh wait a minute, right? So we walk over there, dude. She's like, hey, well, you should get these. Aren't these the same, dude? And so I'm sitting there going, no, Grandma, I can't get the GoBots, man. It's because there's a status thing, right? And even as poor as I was, man, we were poor. But even then, even us as poor people had standards for this stuff, right?
Because just because you were poor doesn't mean you didn't have standards. That's two different things. People need to understand that. We had standards, we just couldn't afford them.
Right. Well, because you don't want to be that kid on the playground, right? So my grandmother was like, look, this thing is you can get 3 for the price of 1, and it was still cheaper than the one Transform that I want. And I was like, so my grandmother was getting mad, right? And then I looked at her and I told her, no, Grandma, I'd rather have. She goes, would you rather have this or are you going to have nothing? I said, I'd rather have nothing. Dude, and she was going to, like, I could feel that backhand coming. She was going to catch me with. She just looked at me and I was like, I can't show up with GoBots on the playground. You just can't. God. You're not going to live it down, dude.
Yeah, you can't. You will never stop hearing the last of it.
Dude, you get ostracized, man. You show up with GoBots and everybody else has
yes.
No.
Absolutely.
It wasn't going to happen, But
so you chose nothing, and you still got the back slap at home, I bet.
Yeah, she was mad. She was grateful. So that's the last time she ever thought about buying me a toy. But I had to stand up for
shout out to Grandma wherever she may be.
Yeah,
but she was right. She had the right. She was right. It's just we were just too petty when we're little. When you're young, you're just petty. You think about dumb stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You
I
know,
kind of see it, and then the payback, of course, is when you have kids like we do. So it
right?
comes back.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Absolutely. It comes all right back into fruition, right back to you. Now, here's a funny tidbit. You probably don't
Sure.
know, but totally off topic. But just to let you know, since you brought up GoBots, they're
Yeah,
actually recreating a new line for GoBots, and it
that's
looks
what I heard.
phenomenal. It
That's
looks
what I heard.
phenomenal, but it's going to be through online only. And now everybody wants them. They're like really big in demand. Now they're cool, you know. So don't feel too bad about the GoBot story because at least you would have been, part of the cool crowd now. So it doesn't really something you should be embarrassed about.
Oh
I
no,
get
that
it, but I
nostalgia,
get it.
man. That nostalgia can
Yeah.
make you some money. They can lose
Oh
you money, or
yes.
they can make you money,
Oh
depending on what side
yes.
you're on. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what other
But yeah.
consoles did you have? I mean,
Well,
like
okay.
so
Yeah.
you earned it because you had good grades. You had honor roll. You
Yeah.
earned it. So she bought you the console, even though she felt it was a waste of time. But she knew that you deserved it, so she got it for you. Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, for the one thing about my grandmother, like she knew if I was into something, she would support it, but she wouldn't just support anything. Because there's two things I did. I played video games. Well, I was a nerd, so I was into the video game comic stuff and stuff like that, which she didn't
Hmm.
mind so much. And then I played basketball. Those are the two big things I did. And
Hmm.
my grandmother, she not only bought me the NES, dude, she bought me the one with the power pad.
Oh, nice, nice. The
Yeah,
power pad. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
that.
And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
came with 3 games, right? It came with Duck Hunt, Mario, and then that racing game, dude. That I didn't realize that when you put the pad on the carpet, man, you start trying to run fast, it slips from under you, then you hit your head on the dresser.
Oh
That's what
boy.
happened to me. I knocked
Oh
myself out.
boy.
She came running into the room. She was like, "What are you doing in here?"
Right, right,
I'm
right.
fine.
She
I'm
thought you
fine, Grandma.
probably
Don't take
broke.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, she
yeah.
probably thought you cracked your head open or something. God.
No, she didn't care about that. She's like,
Ah.
she's just like, "What are you doing in here?" Right? And I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I just didn't want her to take away the Nintendo." So I'm like,
Right.
"Nah, I got to cut and stuff." I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm good. It's all good."
Wow. Yeah,
So
I
so that was my first
definitely
system.
understand.
Yeah. And then
So
I
that was your
played
first one.
Atari 2600 because our neighbor when I moved to Florida he had well my cousin when I was here in Hawaii they had a 2600, so I used to go over to his house
Mhm.
and play. Um,
Okay.
my other cousin when I was living in Florida he had man what I can't remember the system. Remember the system that had Buck Rogers? I want to say it's
Buck
Intel,
Rogers.
no, yeah, but it was kind of a
I
computer and
want to
actually
say it was Atari. I think it was the Atari 7800, wasn't it?
no he had it on
Buck Rogers, or it looked like a computer. You said.
yeah, and then what it was, the actual game was a it looked like a tape, like a cassette tape you play music on. So that's what the games on there look like.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking. I forgot the name of the console, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, what was it? Odyssey? Wow, I want to say it was Odyssey,
yeah, I can't
but
remember.
yeah, it's been a while. I'll look it up though because I do know what you're talking about. That they used to look the games look like cassette tapes. Yeah, I know
So
exactly
that
what you're
was
saying.
the whole thing. Getting back to what I was trying to say is, now we're so spoiled because we have Xbox Live. For those people that have a Sony, you have the PlayStation Network. Nintendo even has online stuff now.
Right.
Um, but back when we were growing up, man, you had to go get friends and you had to know people, and because
Yeah.
you couldn't really afford this stuff because we were little kids, especially growing up like I did. So, um, I had like an NES, and I knew people that had other stuff, or family that had other stuff. So you'd actually go over to their house and play with them, if they were really cool. Like my one friend Craig, he was super cool because his parents bought
Mm-hmm.
him all the Nintendo games. Man, I had one game, dude. It was Bayou Billy. I had Bayou
Bayou
Billy. Right.
Billy. I remember Bayou Billy.
My grandmother bought that game, and I remember when we went to Toys R Us. That's why I get upset when people over here talk about or people in general, gamers like, oh, that's too expensive. That's this and that. This game's. I'm like, dude, Bio Billy cost us $70 from a Toys R Us, man. And when you walk down
Wow.
that aisle in Toys R Us, all the cartridges, man, was 70 plus games. Of course, they got cheaper over time, but
Right.
um, but I mean, it's always been in that price range, or and I think they've dropped it to like around the 49.99 is the lowest the cartridges went that I can remember. I
Right.
mean MSRP price.
Right.
So, dude, my grandmother bought me that game, and I knew she didn't want to, but we had driven all the way from, at the time when I was in Florida, from Kissimmee to Jacksonville to go to
Okay.
this Toys R Us. And so she wanted something, right? So she bought that for me, and we just didn't have the money. And man, I had that game, and I cherished that game because it's the only game I ever got. for Nintendo.
Right. Right.
But then, like I
Okay.
said, I had a friend named Craig, so he let me borrow 1942. He let me borrow, I mean, just all the other games. Yeah, whatever he wasn't playing, that's how I got to play Zelda.
Right.
And he had the gold cartridge Zelda.
Well, I sympathize with you because that's how it was with me for a lot of cases, especially with the software, like the games. Basically, what
Right.
we would do is if I buy a game, a friend of mine will buy a game. We're like, listen, you buy that one, I buy this one. When I beat this, then I'll beat that. Then we can trade in consoles or we can trade in cartridges, and we'll be able to play the
Yeah.
games. That's what we used to do because it's just too much money. And even back then, I remember when, just like you said, you had a very very valid point that when Fantasy Star came out for the
Yeah.
Sega
Fantasy Star.
Master, for the Sega
Yeah.
Master System, which was the very first 3D dungeon crawler RPG of its kind
Right.
on a console from Sega, exclusive. See how I put that in there?
Yeah.
um, it was like $70. I think you're absolutely right. It was high. The
Yeah. Those things
price
are
was really high. And the cool thing with me though, that I was lucky enough, I was going to Catholic school for a better part of my life since kindergarten to like 8th grade.
right.
And right down the street, there was a local toy store. And the toy store was called Toys for, the number four,
Yeah.
are Toys for All, like for everybody,
Oh,
ALL,
nice.
all.
Nice.
It
Nice.
was trying to do like their own version of Toys R Us, but a little
Right.
bit different. It's called Toys for All. And I would go every Friday afternoon, walked right down there either with buddies or by myself, and check out all the new latest and greatest toys. And you're absolutely right. I remember when I used to walk in there, the first thing used to be the clearance toys would always be in the front bin, and these like silver basket bins, which KB Toy Works and toy stores used to do it a lot when they were still around.
Yeah.
And then the ones on the peg, sure enough, the ones on the peg and on the main aisles, those were the big boys, those were the big dogs.
Yeah.
Um, as you know, I'm a very heavy toy collector, as well as I've told you many times in the past.
Oh yeah. Much
Especially,
respect, man. You got good stuff, bro.
oh, thank you. I've tried. I mean, it only took me 20 years. I mean, really. but
Yeah.
I used to get He-Mans back then when they first started, and GI Joes. I remember GI Joes were like $1, probably 75, $1.59. He-Mans were like $2, $2.75, $3 most, $2.99.
Right.
So once my hobby started to change, like what you said, to gaming, and the games were like $40, $50.
Yeah, they were expensive.
Even with the Atari in the Atari era.
Yeah.
They were a little more cheap, but they probably were like $20, $30. But there was just so many games, and there was such an oversaturation of games that you didn't know what to buy and what was good, because we didn't have magazine game outlets anywhere to help us figure these things out, to give us a better understanding of what games was what, and what we should look at and what we should stay away from. So it was all basically a guessing game, a risk. So my mother, I could understand. My mother raised me alone. My father died. Never got to meet him when I was very young. I had a stepfather.
Sorry
Great.
about that, man.
No. Thank you so much. No worries though. We didn't have that kind of money, so I could definitely, like I said, empathize with your situation and sympathize with your situation, because, that's how we had to do it. That's how we rolled. We rolled that
Yeah.
way. We were gangsters. You borrow, I borrow, and that's how we did it. The worst part about that was when you actually borrowed something from someone, and you knew you took care of it very well, because that's all you knew how to do, because you
Yeah.
were not able to get all kinds of nice things all the time. And then the person that you lent it to was complete opposite, and then they give you back your game and it'd be all scratched up, ruined, or wouldn't work correctly, or the disc would stop reading because they just threw it in anywhere and dust collected or put food on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
that was the worst part. I hated when that happened. So
Well, my
what other
friend.
consoles you've had? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. Well, my friend Craig actually kind of resented me sometimes, because what would happen is I'd go over to his house, and that's the
Mhm.
only house my grandmother would let me go over to, because she knew the family, and they were just really
Mhm.
nice people. And
Okay.
what ended up happening though is I'd go over there and I'd actually, like, because he'd leave his stuff all over the place. So I'd bring back his game, whatever he let me borrow, then I kind of would put it away and straighten up stuff and stuff like that. And the mom would say, "Oh, if only you were more like Sega, or not Sega, but just my name. But if you were more like him, took care of your stuff, he's so appreciative. And then my friend would look at me, give me this look, and I would be like, oh, like, sorry, man, because when you don't have stuff, right, and you
You
see,
learn how to take care of it, right?
right,
Absolutely.
Plus,
Absolutely.
I didn't want him to think that I kind of took that for granted. He didn't care. I mean, you could tell he was like, he didn't care. So yeah, man, take this, take 4 or 5 games if you want to. I'm like, oh no, I just need one. I'm just gonna play this. But he was, I mean, we were good friends and stuff like that. But just the difference, right? of
Yeah,
of
absolutely,
the
absolutely.
so I mean,
So
it's really interesting to look at it now and how, like, when I see it through
Mhm.
my own kids, and how people are with games, and because we just grew up in a different time. So anyway, sorry,
Right.
you were saying.
No worries. So I mean, what other honorable mentions as far as consoles that you have gotten through the years that you really enjoyed, like, and were kind of your favorite?
Yeah. Well, I'll keep it simple just so I don't want to um, say the wrong thing, because I'm sitting here trying to think. But I'll just go with the console that I literally bought myself, or I owned. So I
Okay.
had the NES. By the time that Sega was coming out, I had already had a job, but then I went into the service. So I bought I owned a Super Nintendo, a Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's interesting because I remember when the Super Nintendo came out, dude, it was a really big deal. Um,
Right.
and and because the NES was so popular, people were going to get the Super NES. It was
Right.
a no-brainer.
Right.
But at the time, there's like this little underground group of people, and this is where we start transitioning into like the gaming. Um,
Console wars, maybe.
Not so much console wars, but you could see gaming because you remember before Nintendo. This is why I always give Nintendo respect, man. They basically saved the video game industry, in my opinion,
Right.
because the arcades went through that big crash, if you remember that. And
Well,
then
with Atari and all that stuff, with the big video
yeah,
game crash, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So Nintendo comes around, right? And I think if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have what we have now. So I always
Right.
give them much respect, and I'm
And
also a
they
fan. They make great games, man.
right. But they also did it being smart because what they did was is they sold the console to the distributors,
Yes,
not
yes,
from
they did.
from the distributors to the people that were going to buy it, and the companies, with the idea that it was like toy. That's why they put that Rob
Yes.
in it.
Oh, yeah,
Not
Robbie the Robot. Yeah.
not that it was a video game console only. That was also in there, but that was a bonus. They sold them more as a toy, and that's how they were able to pitch their sales pitch to these companies, and they picked it up. Which was, we all have to thank them for that, because if it wasn't for that,
Yeah.
I don't know where console or even PC gaming be at this point.
It all started to me. The what we consider um the console market that we have now is because of Nintendo. So I always have mad respect for them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because for me, if it wasn't for them, I mean, it's and out of necessity, competition is bred, and that's where Sega came into the picture, which that's what I was saying. It's like there's this group of people started forming where you kind of saw that first division
Mm-hmm.
of gamers, at least for me. And when I say this, I'm just speaking as my own, um, putting myself out there.
From your own personal experience, I know.
Yes, thank you. So it's that's where you kind of saw. I don't know if that's what we do, but that's where I kind of saw like there's groups forming,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then I had some
So
people
the
that would
gaming
just
world started to officially start to segregate itself in different
yeah,
parts.
yeah,
Right.
because
I'm with you 100%.
and then the marketing back then it was amazing because I remember Sega came out with the Blast. What was it? The
Blast
Sega
processing.
Blast processing, and you heard that, and you're like, "What in the world is that?"
Right,
Right? And then
right.
it shows Sonic zipping through like levels and stuff like that, and I'd be like, "Whoa!" That as soon as I saw that, dude, I was like, hook, line, and sinker, man. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
talked about seeing Mooncrester for the first time, right? That's when I saw Sonic for the first time blitzing around places, and I was like, "Whoa, dude, that's
Well,
that's
it was kind of like I don't remember. I don't know if you remember when even Turbo Graphics, when it first came out,
oh yeah,
it was throwing shots at Nintendo when they were saying you were playing this, showing old 16-bit games while you can play this. Then they would show China Warrior, which was huge. The character would take like the whole screen and
oh
he
that's
looked
right,
like Bruce Lee. I don't know if you remember those commercials. They were really, really slimy and throwing kicks at each other all the time. And it was cool, but at the same time, you're like, whoa, this company is truth is the shit. Like
Because they had Bonk too, right? They also
yeah,
had Bonk.
Bonks. Yeah,
Yeah,
they try to
Bonk. Yeah,
compare it
Bonk
to
looked cool.
Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And then Sony even did it when Crash came out. Remember where they
Right.
even showed them in front of I think they showed them in front of Nintendo's company. The actual offices with a megaphone saying, "Hey, where's that plumber boy?" I remember those commercials.
Yeah,
They
Crash
were so.
Bandicoot. Yeah.
They were
And it's
so.
really
Go ahead.
no, it's really weird because usually when you're the top dog, like Nintendo was at the time, you
Mhm.
kind of look back at that. Normally, when people attack you like that, it doesn't work. But in gaming, man, it's really interesting because, and I just think kudos to the, I know marketers get a bad rep, but kudos to those dudes, man. I mean,
Right.
they knew at least how to present it to us as gamers.
Even in the magazines, you're right.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Man, it was a. See, now we're getting nostalgic, man. But it was good times, bro. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna lie.
man. It was fun. It
It
was
was fun.
console
Thank you.
warring, but it was fun with respect, with etiquette, with style. Okay, it's okay to console war, but the way that it's become in this day and age is pretty much so distasteful and so disgusting because these guys go personal and then they start with the cursing and then they put your family involved. Then they start putting up memes, pictures of your
Yeah,
family and of
yeah,
you. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these guys?
yeah.
It's just gaming. It's not that serious.
Well, you know what? I'll say you say I don't say something controversial, so I'm going to say something controversial. Well, I don't. I
Oh
hope people don't
wow.
take this the wrong way.
World exclusive right here from
Exactly.
Sega Forever.
Well, I just hope people don't take this the wrong way, but I think
Right,
because
right. No, I don't think they will. Go ahead. Go for it, my buddy.
because and we've talked about this. We grew up as gamers first.
Mm-hmm.
Is the difference? I see people now in the gaming community. They're growing up as brand. They love brands.
Right. They're more
They're
attached to the brand than they are to
yeah,
games. Right.
right.
Absolutely. Well, I was just arguing with somebody today about that earlier on Bang Bang, which is a gaming
Ah,
group,
right,
and
right.
basically because they were talking about Uncharted, giving it like somebody already got their hands on it, gave it a good review, saying all these great things
Oh, I
about it.
saw. Yeah, I saw what you said.
And I said, well, you see the difference on how it is that he's reviewing the game, talking good things about the game, the way it's supposed to be. He's talking about the game. Unlike Quantum Break, when the Quantum Break came out, they weren't talking about how amazing the game was, the story being so unique and fresh,
Yeah.
how what they're trying to do with the gameplay style, the powers of time
The
continuum
presentation. The
and
presentation blows
presentation.
me on. I could just sit there and look at that game and just be in awe of it. The
Right,
presentation
right.
was
Top quality.
unbelievable.
Yeah, top
Yeah.
of line, top quality. They didn't talk about none of that. What they talked about, the resolution is 720p, or there's not consistencies in the lighting and the graphics, which really shows the fanboyism, if you will, from these Sony guys, because it comes basically from the Sony and some of the PC elitists, obviously.
Well,
Um,
you know what? But we're used to the PC elitists, and in a sense,
right,
they
right,
can brag if they get the higher hardware. I mean, yeah.
right.
So at least they're
Well, it's
consistent, is
like
what
we.
I'm saying. Yeah, PC guys are consistent. I don't have a problem with PC guys because they're consistent.
At least they're consistent with their stupidity. Yes,
Yeah,
very well said.
yeah. Because they go,
But
they stay on point, man. They got like three things, and they just stay on point, man. So
right,
you
right.
know
They
which
keep
way you're
on with
gonna
the
get
same thing.
attacked, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Right.
And not to get off track, but
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
to clarify some things in the air. The difference between that I've noticed especially within the Xbox community. Now, I'm not trying to say there's not some dumb slime balls on the Xbox community. I'm not saying that at all, but we just have a higher echelon, so to speak. We have a higher value. Value in how we carry ourselves, how we speak, how we like to present our topics and our subjects. We will support something, anything, a console, a game to be specific, as long as it's good quality and it's worth your dollar and it's not ripping you off. As opposed to the Sony fans and obviously the PC elites, without saying, "Oh no, Xbox is trash, it's garbage. We don't need that. We don't need to get it. It's a piece of shit. This, that, and whatever and
Right.
the other." Okay, to make a long story short, we just it's just like the Xbox side seem to have we just seem to stem from the real gaming roots. We're more real gamers. The ones that are younger are still stuck and attached to the idea of these niche Japanese arcade and Japanese RPG style titles that we played back when we were on the NES and Master System. That stuff is not new to us. That stuff is old to us. We've already been there, done that. So we want to see more new and refreshing things. We don't buy next generation consoles, and many people have said this before, to buy indie games that look like they belong in Atari. That's just not logic. That's just facts. It's not trying to be a snowball anybody or low blow anybody. It's just a fact. And the reason why Sony has given that in a lot of these to their audience is because those are the only type of developers that they can actually afford having games on their console at this point. Because Sony's just not the same company anymore,
Oh yeah, they're definitely not. And I wouldn't even mind that as much. I think the thing that drives me crazy, and I know you talk about this a lot too, is just the hypocrisy. And it's to the point I can understand hypocrisy, but it's to the point I think it's just dangerous now for this industry as a whole.
Well, you can't trust anybody. You can't trust the media. You can't trust these gaming sites.
The media is, and I try and look, as I was talking earlier, I don't want to come off like I'm the grumpy old man, that and that I'm an elitist because I played Pac-Man when you guys weren't even born. I don't want to be that guy.
I play Pac-Man right now. I played that Pac-Man DX. I love it.
No, that game's awesome. That game's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is like talk about the Xbox community. One of the things I like about it is that there is divergence of opinion, and unfortunately, you don't find that anywhere else, and it's much needed, with the exception of Zobi 70.
Okay.
I don't see that.
To Zobi.
Yeah, shout out to Zobi. I don't really see that on the other side, or in gaming in general, and I think that's dangerous because, at least with if you look at XB1, and if you're to me, if you're a true gamer, you'd own one just because you're getting everything that you want, and we'll put the gamer aside. If you're a consumer, I would feel you would own it because it's really affordable. You get a lot of bang for your buck, and I'm talking about not just in games. You get your original IPs, which they came out with. You get your indies, which they have a ton of. You get your you get all the features of a next gen console system that guys like us enjoy.
Right.
Now, if you don't enjoy those kind of things, I can understand that. But if you're that type of gamer, right, then you're probably on the iPhone.
Right. That you don't mind playing iPhone games. Exactly.
Yeah. There's a ton of people that are like that. When people tell me, well, not everybody prefers all the stuff on the XP1. Yeah, and they're called iPhone users. They're called iPhone gamers. Those are the guys. That's what they're playing. Right. To me, if you consider yourself a gamer, now I'm not I'm not putting myself as the king of everything gaming, but I'm saying if you consider yourself a gamer, right, you should. Some of the stuff that people say just doesn't make sense to me, and a lot of times they'll contradict themselves because what's good for one should be good for the other, and a lot of times it's not, right? It's just like, well, I don't like Quantum Break because of A, B, C, D, and then you go look at games on their console, and you can say, or of their choice, game console of their choice, and says, well, what about this has the same problem, but you don't say anything. The media, of course, that's a big thing. I've given up on those guys completely. It's one of the reasons why I started my own YouTube channel, because I was getting tired of, I wanted to have my say in things, but I also wanted to connect with other people who was seeing what was going on. And that's why I gravitated to Next Gen when he first came on the scene, because he was the only one I knew of that was doing it. But you're right, dude. I mean, the Xbox community is different. I think one of the reasons why, being that we're Sega guys, I think Microsoft never really had that fan base. Like, we grew up as Sega or Nintendo fans, and then you transition. Maybe you transition to Sony, because people forget that Microsoft is the new kid on the block when it comes to all these home consoles. So it's nice to be in this community just for the simple fact that not everybody agrees with Crap Gamer. Not everybody's gonna agree.
Just ask Phil Spencer.
Exactly. Yeah, just ask Phil. Not everybody's gonna agree with Next Gen. Not everybody's gonna agree with Mr. 100.
Right. Right.
Even within like the intermediate gaming, I love those guys. Shout out to those
See,
guys.
absolutely. Shout out to all of them. But the main, for example, as with Crap, his heart is in the right place. He genuinely just really cares, and he really wants to bring out the right message.
Mhm.
It's just sometimes he says things that is crazy, and people may not agree with him, but that's okay. That's what
Yeah, it
makes it
is okay.
special, because everybody has a right to disagree or agree to disagree, so to speak. So
Well,
now that you're on the
yeah.
topic, go ahead, continue.
Oh no, but it's his opinion. It's just what drives me nuts, man. If you go to his page, I really don't
Mhm.
go to his comment section too much because it's the same old thing. But
A lot of
and then
hate.
to a lot of hate, and just if you want to win an argument in his comment section, just type in "Why are you here?"
Right,
or
right,
"Why are you
right,
always here?" or "Why are
right.
you
You don't have to
constantly?"
watch if you don't like.
You don't
Absolutely.
have to watch what he said. And then it's not like we all agree, but we all respect other people's opinions. I'll respect a Sony guy's opinions. I have no problem. If I
Right.
don't agree with you,
Absolutely.
I don't go to your channel, and I don't watch
Absolutely.
your videos, and I won't
Absolutely.
support your point of view. I mean, it's like running your head against the wall, if you do it that way. So, and I see these guys do that, and it's really funny because they can't stand him, and a lot of them you can tell they want to just take him down, but just by being there, they're just helping them grow, and it's just like
Right.
it just goes over their head. You
Instead of
look at
doing
them
him
like,
a disservice, they're actually helping him.
yeah, and he lives it up, and I think people have a problem trying to determine, like, the person that he is um on YouTube is not the person that he really is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then
Absolutely.
he plays it up, dude, and I would do the same thing because I remember when his channel when he first
Right.
came on, and he's talked about it on videos, and he's talked with in BGST how he was, and next gen kind of encouraged him to kind of create this persona. Probably Mooch is
Right.
the only person I think he is exactly like he is when I listen to Mooch.
Right.
So,
Gooch is the king of the analogies.
oh
They're
yeah,
just
he's
really.
awesome. Yeah,
Well, check it out, Forever. So
yeah,
because I want to ask you a couple more questions.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. It's okay. Because we can talk all day about these topics because we're in a different level, like I said. So what would be like considered like one of your favorite consoles, if not your favorite console of all time, if you have one?
Well, I have to say it's changed a little bit.
Mhm.
Back when I was a little bit more hardcore,
Okay,
it was the Saturn. It was the Sega Saturn.
nice choice.
And the
Sega
only
Saturn,
reason I
yeah.
say that too is because importing and modding was a big thing with the console, so you could get like tons of games from Japan, and
Okay.
it was off. I love the Saturn. Right now though,
It was a console that had very good games that was underrated and not appreciated.
oh yeah, definitely. You have to be hardcore
Hmm.
to be a Saturn fan.
Hmm. Hmm.
And of course, it had like the games that I enjoyed because at the time, the arcade went through a little bit of a resurgence thanks to Street Fighter.
Hmm.
Um, so I played Virtual Fighter. So what I would do is I'd play Virtual Fighter. I'd practice on my home console, and then I go to the
Nice.
arcades, and then you get into tournaments, and then you play in tournaments and stuff like that. So back then you couldn't do that. You'd have to learn at the arcade, which could be kind of hard because you'd find out like we had these guys at the arcade I used to go to. This when I was in the Navy. We called them the Five Masters, and nobody could beat these guys. Then later on, you found out that they actually had the move list. You got to remember, like you could go on your console right now, turn on Killer Instinct, and then go to a training mode. And learn how to do all the fighting moves. Back in when we were growing up in the arcade, they didn't have stuff like that.
Nope.
You you learn if you were lucky,
So
you
it's
got that
all
cabinet that showed you how
guesswork
to throw a fireball.
by doing different combos with the buttons.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it goes back again.
Absolutely.
It goes back to that camaraderie that I think is kind of missed with our online community. Even though it's more readily available, you actually have to develop relationships with people. There's a social aspect to it, and there was a
Well,
social order.
we developed a wonderful
Yeah,
social attitude growing up in arcades. Arcades were wonderful. We hanged
yeah,
out there. We talked. We laughed. We cried. We said
yeah.
stories. Arcades are very, very, very uh, part of history and very, very wonderful part of history that went away unfortunately, and it'd be nice to see it come back. Absolutely.
Well, because I mean, I'm sure you've done this, man. We're the generation that knows about what it means to put your quarter on a cabinet. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Yeah,
and
the
everybody knew
experience.
who was next. Yeah, there was like there's this code of like conduct.
It was all done with respect. Absolutely. So
Yeah,
forever, your name says it all. You call yourself Xbox All In, Sega Forever, aka.
yeah.
Uh, What was the game that turned you, Mr. Forever, into a big Sega fan? What was that game that actually made you turn over and go, damn, I really like Sega? I'm
Oh,
curious.
that's a tough one, man. Because Sega, the reason I gravitated to them because they had just so many games, and their games are different, both arcade and on the Genesis. They weren't they weren't they weren't the norm, man. I mean,
Because
Altered Beast.
they had IPs in all in arcades and in
Yeah,
the consoles. You're right.
yeah, because they were an arcade company. Their drive was arcades.
Hmm.
In fact, I think their home console was only so that you could go to the arcade and play. Um,
Yes, yes.
Man, I'm thinking back, dude. What was it?
Was like any particular game that you could remember that just made you go, "This is the company that I really, really love. That stands out in my heart in a special way."
Well, if I have to give, there's a couple games, but if I have to say the one that really put me over the edge is
All right, I'll make it fair. Give me 3 games.
well, no, I can go with one. I can go with one.
Okay, okay.
The Space Harrier, because that's the one I probably played the most in the arcade.
Wow, good pick. Yeah,
Yeah,
Space
Space
Harrier.
Harrier. Yeah, that game was.
Nice.
I mean, you think about it, dude. It is like nothing that there was ever, and I think that's what it is. I kind of like kind of off stuff, and look at my emblem here that I have. You know, baby metal. Right? I'm into that right now. I've always kind of
Yeah,
gravitated to
no.
kind of that odd. And I'm not saying Sega's odd, but they just did things different.
They were different.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there
I
was like
agree.
a little wrinkle in the arcade when you can actually tell a Sega game just by looking at it, and because it fit a certain style. Besides the fact that they
Right.
push hardware, they push like the cabinets and stuff like that. You know, hang on. The first time you saw a motorcycle thing, you know, wow. So if I have to pick one, it's Space Harrier because that's the game I played the most because it was just so freaky and fun. It was a perfect combination of weird and yet
I
fun.
remember Space Harrier would have done it for me too. But I be honest with you, I never saw Space Harrier in my local arcade.
Oh
And so I
wow.
went to an actual big arcade in a place that was like Chunky Cheese. So I didn't see it till then actually. Or was it it was like Great Adventure or something like that, where I saw it
Right.
for the very first time and played it. So if not, probably would have been the same with me. But my game, like wow, Sega's pretty awesome, was really two because they were both side by side in my arcade, and
Okay.
it was Outrun and Afterburner.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Afterburner. Yeah. And
You
over.
know,
Yeah.
Outrun and Afterburner were like, and there was another little game that a lot of people didn't pay attention to, but it was awesome called Quartet. Quartet with 4 little guys in space, and you had like backpacks. Quartet.
Oh, is that a
You ever
Sega
played
game?
it? It's a Sega game, yeah, absolutely. It came
Oh
out
wow.
for
I
the
didn't
original
know that.
Master System too. It was 4 players in the arcade and 4 players in the home console. It was, I believe, you spell it Uartet. Quartet.
Wow. I didn't even
Awesome
know that
game.
was a.
Yeah, when you get a chance, look it up on YouTube. Wonderful little game. And it was in my local arcade. Those are the first 3 big Sega titles that really captured my imagination, so to speak, at the time. I
Yeah.
see that you've been uh, on the YouTube scene probably just as much long and as much as the same time as somebody like Next Gen. You know, how hard has the experience been for you being the underdog, right? Because you're not well the others, okay? Not that it's their
Yeah.
fault, but you're not very controversial, and it seems like people gravitate more to the controversy and the silliness and the immaturity sometimes than they do to actual hardcore, hard hitting, hard nosed gaming info, which
Right.
that's
Right.
how I feel about your material. Which I also love the fact that you're trying to make it more pop culture as well, because I think it works well for you and for your channel and for your style of how you are and how you carry yourself. How hard it's been for you to just basically hang in there and get motivated and not lose that motivation of like, you know what, I'm not making money doing this, but since I love doing it, I just want to keep doing videos and from time to time, even if I'm not consistent, but make as much as I can for my fan base and my viewers, just to be happy with what I put up. Like how hard it's been.
Um. Yeah. That's the reason why I got into this was just to kind of have a voice and I what I consider was a wrong on YouTube because there was no really Xbox people, like I said, besides Next Gen and then you had Crap Gamer and all these guys. Um,
Mhm.
But yeah, if I'm being honest, I was actually going to stop doing YouTube just for the
Oh,
simple
really?
fact
Okay.
and it's not a bad thing, it's actually a good thing, because the only reason like I said, I came in here is because I wanted other people who are to have a voice, like myself. I felt like, this isn't fair what they're what's going on. If you like a particular system and like to play particular games, that you're kind of ostracized. It's almost like the reverse of when you first started gaming and or being a nerd in general, you're ostracized. That's what it kind of felt like. So I kind of put myself out there to do a channel because I had stuff I wanted to say. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a video. I'm just going to say what is on my mind. And then as soon as the
Hard. Hmm.
yeah, as soon as you click on the thing and that light comes on, man, I would just have a hard time. So it's taken me a while to try to find my way. But there was a time I was going to stop because our community's grown exponentially, and there's like a lot of people out there right now that I have a lot of respect for that came along a little later. Um,
Right.
that are doing great things, like if we're talking about who people should be listening to and who not. I think like Red Dragon, I know he
Hmm.
has a pretty good fan base, but that guy should be
Oh, yeah, he's wonderful. He's wonderful. I
he's
don't agree with
awesome.
him all the time because he's very
Oh,
PC
definitely. Yeah,
eccentric
definitely.
too, but I definitely think his body of work, how he
Speaks for itself.
presents it, he's just
Yeah,
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
he is
Hmm.
so I mean, I never looked at it in that kind of sense, because I know my own limitations of what I can and can't do. There's things that I won't trade on. I won't get involved in the drama. In fact, I did a video
Hmm.
on that,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what drew me back, because I used to do a lot of hat tip videos before. I stopped doing that because I realized I technically don't know a lot of these people. I think I'm
Hmm.
batting
Hmm.
like 95%, to be honest with you. But there's been a couple people I thought, a certain way, and then later on you find out no, they're not, they're actually all about themselves, and that kind of surprised me because, again, as me and I mean, kind of like how we present ourselves, that's how we are. So if there's somebody watching my video who's like, oh, I wonder if that guy is actually, if he does look that bad in glasses, yeah, if you meet me in person, this is how I look. This isn't. I'm not gonna. This is it. That's the whole. It's the whole. It's the complete package.
Stop that! Stop! You're a handsome man. Stop that! Stop that!
but I mean, you know what I'm saying. I think if
Yeah,
people,
I know exactly what you mean. You just wanted to make sure that your viewers knew that you were genuine, that you were not
right,
something else. That what you saw is what you are. What you got. Exactly. I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
and I know that there's things I could do because um, you know, we've been doing this for almost 2 years now, maybe
Hmm.
longer. I've lost track of the time, but there's things, of course, you can do to make your channel bigger or better. Some of it would kind of trade on my principles, but
Hmm.
other parts of it, it's just the time and the
Hmm.
money. Instead of putting all my money, I love doing this as a side, and this is nothing against people who subscribe and like my stuff. I appreciate you guys and stuff like that, but instead of like doing some of the things to make my channel better, it would probably take away from my actual gaming time or my actual time with family.
Hmm.
Um, so that's why I do have a lot of respect for the big YouTubers in a sense, because you're gonna catch the arrows, man, if you put yourself out there.
Right.
So it's like a
Well,
two-edged sword, right?
double-edged sword. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to take the time out right now to
Yeah.
thank you that you didn't give up. I'm so glad you didn't give up because every time I see you put something up, even though it may not be something of my interest, it's just wonderful to see that you're trying to grow your channel in so many different ways and so many different directions, which I think is more important than, because a lot of people may put content every day. And to be honest with you, even though they may put content anyway, every day, the only positive side of that is that people notice that you have content every day, but it doesn't
Right.
necessarily mean that the content there meshes well enough with the type of channel or type of viewers that you may have or that you're trying to obtain for that matter.
Right.
So, it could work with you, it could work against you. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. And if I had to give advice to people, because even in our Xbox community on YouTube, man, there's a lot there's been jealousy and backstabbing and stuff like that. You don't have to worry about that with me
childish
because
behavior,
exactly.
childish behavior. Go ahead.
Because if I don't like you, I'll tell it to your face. That's
Right.
just the way I am. If I don't like you, I'll tell you straight. If
Well,
you,
you don't
I'll tell you
say
straight.
it, vocally, but you do know how to cut people badly with your words. I mean, I love that about you. I love the way you verbalize everything you write in your texts and your videos. It's phenomenal. I love it.
Well, so a lot of times when you're having debates with people, because we technically don't have debates. You know, when people say, "Well, we're having this debate," you're not having a debate. You're just arguing. A debate is
Tell me about
defending,
it.
because you need to know, and if you're having a debate, you need to know both sides of the coin, right? You have to know both
Mhm.
your topic. You got to be confident in yours. Plus, you need to know what the other guy's going to talk about, so you can defend your topic and, i.e., well, push is a bad word. Sorry. Um, Share your opinions with that person to help try and change his mind. And a lot of times, it's not about changing mind; it's just presenting it, right?
Right.
So, you know, from the get go, and a lot of times, you know this as well as I do. You're in a comment section, you see the guy saying, and they'll say something, you know, just that
Mhm.
totally makes no sense, and you don't have to really argue with the person. You just kind of take what he said and you just kind of keep on reworking it till he comes around to realizing that he's wrong.
Right. Right. Well,
um
key word, you have to speak about the subject.
yeah,
Because some
which you
people
know,
think,
yeah, yeah, which you
yeah,
know
I know
firsthand.
firsthand. Exactly. You have to talk about the subject,
Yeah.
not everything else, but the subject. You get what I'm saying?
And that's why Phil
Uh,
Spencer wears tight shirts. Where did that come from? I thought we were talking about new IPs.
exactly, exactly. Um, so forever, okay. There's something that you do that I completely adore, but at the same time, I envy you to the bottom of the earth. You do videos with your children, and I
Oh
have
yeah,
children of my own.
yeah.
I would love to do videos with my children, but one, my youngest is just very shy. She doesn't have the courage. That's number one. And number two, the other ones are so big and older, and they're just, you know,
Yeah, I
don't
get
want.
it.
They're like, Father, there's something wrong with you. You got to be kidding me if you think I'm going to do a video with you. So I envy you for that, but not in a bad way, because I don't wish nothing bad at all. Don't get me wrong. It's just I would love to know how special that feels to you, and how special does it become once you see it in fruition and translated in the video on your channel. Do you get good feedback about those videos also with your fan base?
Yeah, I've had some, not a lot. But it surprised me. I was worried about doing it initially because of my opinions, and I am an Xbox channel. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people. I mean, we don't have to go any further than next gen and the stuff he's had to go out through. Regardless, he can be controversial. I think it's part of his persona. It's all in fun. But when people take things the wrong way, and I've seen people post some really bad stuff about his daughter, and his daughter's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little cutie, and
Right.
if he, I don't
And
know how
he's never
people
been
can.
personal. He's never gotten
Yeah,
personal with
I've never seen him.
anybody,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him go after people, but
but
to the
not with
person,
their family.
but
Mm-hmm.
not with their family. I've never seen him do anything like that. And then when I saw people doing that, that actually gave me pause to doing that with my kids, because
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing I probably want to be able to handle. Um, because I'm like I said, man, I've been on strings, message strings, and stuff like that where people are just upright. I mean, they said some nasty stuff that you
Right.
shouldn't be saying. I mean,
Disgusting
let's
stuff. Right.
let's be perfectly honest, stuff you could get probably investigated for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that bad. I won't say what it is because
No,
it
no.
kind of
Yeah,
it hits a nerve with me. Yeah,
yeah, I understand you
hits a nerve with
perfectly.
me. But I decided to do it because surprisingly, my kids are similar to me. I thought they take a little bit more after their mom, and they have a little bit from me and their mom. But my son loves video games, and he's into the kind of the same things that I'm into. My daughter too. She doesn't have the same type of she doesn't gravitate, but there's things that she likes that like when we do certain videos that they both are into that I can work with them with. Um, and the funny thing being is that that's why I like doing podcasts with other people, because I'm better, even with my kids. I'm able to be more like myself um, when I'm on
Mm-hmm.
camera with them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
like when I do podcasts with you, I can speak a little bit more easily. I don't like I do my own stuff on. You can see on my channel, I hate running them because I have a hard time. Because I feel like I'm trying to do multiple things. I'd rather just sit back, listen, like how we're doing now. You shoot me a question, I'll answer your question, go off script, and then we'll come back. But I don't
Right.
have to worry
No, but you,
about.
you do a great job. Believe me, you do a great job. No, no. I always enjoy listening to your one-on-ones to yourself. Uh, they're just it's just the way you talk, the way you carry yourself. It's really mellow, cool, and professional. If for lack of a better term, very professional, I think. my
Yeah, and when
opinion.
you have your kids, you have to be like, I'm always their dad. So when we do the videos, it's fun
Hmm.
because it's just dad. It's me, dad, with my
They
two
got the
kids.
they got the giggles like, oh, dad, did we do a video with dad?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
we
Shout
have.
out to your children.
Yeah,
Shout out to your
thanks.
children. I didn't mean to cut you off. Shout out to your
No, no, no,
children. It
no.
was just
It's
a
fine.
thought I had. They're beautiful kids. I always enjoy watching you doing with them because it's fun. Those are fun. When you
Well,
do
and then
the
they're at that age too, though. That's why I don't, like you said, you have your older kids, and then maybe your younger child is a little shy. I just lucked out because I started doing this, and they're kind of at that age where, daddy's not the grouchy old man. You know, they're not closing their doors yet.
right,
To their rooms and stuff. I'm in that sweet spot. I'm pretty sure in a
right,
couple years this
right.
will all change.
It'll be
They'll have their
different.
friends. Yeah, they
Right.
have their
Well,
friends. They have their interests. Like
it
my
won't.
daughter, she constantly reads, man. She's not and it's interesting because I love comic books, right? But she doesn't really care for comic books. She likes real books, or well, I hate to say it that
I
way,
have
but
my daughters the same way too. Shout out to them.
yeah.
Because I don't like reading like that. I get bored. It has to be something that really interests me in order to read it.
Dude,
You know, and
she reads
invest.
novels, man. It's
Nice.
because we went over to my family. I spent the weekend at my dad's, pretty much that whole weekend. I think we had like a 4 day or a 5 day weekend, and she had this
And she'll
book,
read.
and she read that entire book that whole weekend, and my family
Oh
was like looking
wow.
at her like, "Oh my gosh, she read that whole thing." I was like, "Yeah, she always reads." So the
Oh,
little that I
hand
have,
clap.
yeah, the little
That's
that I
awesome.
have for them, that we have that interest, man, I'll milk it for as long as I can. So
Well, she's getting it from somewhere because dad and mom, brought her up well. So that's great to see that at least somebody of her age, is invested and really enjoys it because it's a dying breed too. To be honest with you, a lot of
yeah,
people don't like reading anymore. Especially the
oh
young
yeah,
kids. In this day and age. So my daughter's the same way. My daughter can read you books all day and won't mind. It's crazy. But I don't
yeah,
have the
definitely
patience.
encourage
It's got
them.
to really
I mean,
interesting.
if
Yeah,
you have
no, you
kids,
can
then
sure.
yeah,
Absolutely,
you gotta encourage them because
absolutely.
with all the tech we have nowadays, audio books and stuff like that, the way they learn,
Hmm.
you
It
know,
could get real easy to get bored and be very lazy real fast with all the technology. You're right. You're
right?
absolutely right. Um, so I want to ask you a couple more questions before we,
Sure.
come to a closure because I don't want to take too long of your time, and I know it's still early by you, and I got to go myself and get some stuff done. But
Oh yeah, our
because I'm not
life
gonna
never
stay here all
stops.
day. Yeah,
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 exactly.
we're family, man. You know how it is. It's different, when you don't have a family, you can bullshit all day and it's okay. We do
Yep.
it. We look at it as irresponsible.
Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
I mean? So
Even
it
to
is
do
what it
this,
is.
man, my daughter sleeps a lot, so she's still crashed. I got my son over here, but I know he's got stuff that he can be doing. So I kind of set all that up before I knew we were gonna do this podcast, so there'd be no problems. But that's what we gotta do as
Right. I
parents,
hear
man.
you
That's what we gotta do.
completely.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
You always got to think ahead. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, 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 no worries. Now, my next question is maybe to bring to your channel
Sure.
to spice it up or do something different. Do you have any ideas or
Oh
or
yeah.
thoughts or
Well, so I bought my son an Elgato because
or some visions that you're thinking of?
well, yeah. Sorry, can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, I think we lost connectivity for a second. Go ahead,
Yeah.
continue.
Um,
So you bought
I,
your son an Elgato,
yeah, and so he's
right?
gonna be doing his
Okay.
own video recording, and so what I was planning on doing is, you know, I definitely, if I wanted to, or it'd be a necessity because I watch other people's channels and stuff like that. If I really wanted the channel to really grow, I'd have to do a lot of stuff that's different, and I don't know if I have the energy, the time, or even the money because you have to buy better equipment. Like you just bought a brand new microphone. I'd have to get like a camera. I'd have to have a space in my house I would set up as a studio, because I could do unboxings and stuff like that for the
Mm-hmm.
collectibles we have. It'd probably be better to, have a place set up with better lighting. I used to
Mm-hmm.
work at a VI. I used to work with VI, visual information, at my job.
Nice,
I was actually
nice.
transitioning to be a journeyman, but that
Mm.
kind of fell through. But through that, I learned A lot of stuff about, equipment, lighting, sound, because all my friends do that. My friends with all the guys down there too, and that's their business. They do wedding videos, they do live shoots, they shoot film. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, in order to go to that next level, there's stuff I'd have to do. Now, I don't know if I have the time, like I said, money or energy to do that kind of
Well,
stuff.
you keep, that's your goal. That's what your vision, what you
Yeah.
hoping to see for your channel in the future, which is more than, than many can say probably right now when you ask them. So, I
Well,
didn't
and
mean to
another
put you.
problem,
Go
no,
ahead. Go
another
ahead.
problem too is like the copyright stuff is a big pain in the neck for
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
YouTube. Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh. I mean,
Yes.
you don't know
Yes.
what you can use, what you can't use. I see people use stuff I think you can't use, and then I see people that try and do that, and then they get banned for something. And I
Well, I
mean,
did an
it's
intro on
crazy.
my channel not too long ago, if you noticed.
Right. Yeah.
And I haven't really been able to use it as periodically as I would like to, because I got quickly messaged like, that you have to give recognition to whoever did the actual song and stuff like that. So I have to remember when I load up videos with the help of my daughter, obviously, how to put
Right.
up, that the song belongs to such person and give them their credit and stuff like that, because you could get easily banned. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about as far as the those issues go. Um, so I mean, basically, so you're looking to forward to like doing upgrades as far as equipment goes and things of that nature to better your
Yeah.
channel, right?
I don't know, man. Because okay, here's the problem we had again, going back to that double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not taking shots. I'm just saying, if I had a system that didn't have games,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or didn't
Or,
do the
or
things that I like
or
to do,
enough AAA games.
right? Then this wouldn't be an issue because I am first and foremost a gaming channel, and you would think I'd have more gameplay on there. The problem being is that once we have so many games. I mean, considering if all you do, if you have time every day to play, like out of the 24 hours a day, you have time to play like 10 to 12 hours of
Right.
straight gaming.
Right.
That's kind of understandable. Okay.
Right.
Um, the problem I'm having is that we do have these games, and unfortunately, that eats into the time.
Right.
So, it's a good
You
problem
got to
to.
divide whether you got to divide work, being a parent, playing games, doing stuff on your channel. I know exactly what you're trying to tell me.
Right. So that's a
I
great
got
problem to have as a gamer. We all know this. This is the problem we want to have. When I had more time, it wouldn't have been an issue. Now that I'm
you.
strapped for time, plus I'm also in school now.
Oh,
So,
right. Right. Fantastic.
so I don't know, man. I don't know. That's why my drive right now for like I just discovered this band, Baby Metal. Because I mean, I grew
Mm-hmm.
up in the 80s. I'm a product of the 80s. I'm not saying I'm a metal fan, and I've said that in my videos
Mm-hmm.
that I'm a big, huge metal music fan. But I just grew up at that time when metal was huge. Everybody listened
Yes.
to it.
Yeah, Motley
Um,
Crue.
Motley
I
Crue,
remember.
Def
Twisted
Leppard,
Sister, Def Leppard. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Poison. Yeah,
Quiet
yeah.
Riot, yeah, Iron Maiden, and all these groups. So
Mm-hmm.
just by
Iron
just by
Maiden.
default,
Mhm.
and I think we benefit, like me
Absolutely.
and you benefit from this because we're products of the 80s. That
Mm-hmm.
we can easily slide into certain things where other people might not be able to.
Right,
And
because
I'm
when we
talking
speak
across.
about it, we can relate. We can when we
Yeah,
speak about it, we can relate because we were there. We experienced it.
we
A
experienced
lot
it.
of these younger kids weren't there, or they were too young when they were there, but they were too young. We were already in our teenage years. Yeah, so yeah, it makes sense. Go
Yeah.
ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
So So I've kind of, kind of varied the content on my channel a little bit, just for stuff to keep me interested in. That's why I do other things. Some stuff has worked out great, some not so much, because some of the things that I wanted to do with it, then I start working on it, and then later on I find out, the way that I want to do it, I'd have to get something different. I'd have to go find out about copyright laws. I'd have to go find out about Oops, sorry, man, my phone keeps on going on. I'd have
Right?
to
No, no worries, no worries.
I have to do stuff that I don't know if I'm really willing to do. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of
Because of
in
the
that,
extra time that you need, right?
yeah, and the money especially, man. I mean, to get like a good brand microphone, I'd have to upgrade my. Well, actually, I just upgraded my internet, man, but I need to get a new router. Um,
Okay, so do I. Don't feel bad. I need to get a new router too. You're right,
yeah,
because I need one that could support more devices.
right. I need a new computer that I can get editing stuff software for if I want to take it to that next level, which I don't know.
Right. So
That
I
I
think
don't
I
know.
have the same problem. I would like to, but it's just I need a lot of equipment. I don't have the money either for it right now.
Right.
So I want to ask you like two more questions.
Sure, sure.
Uh, and then we could wrap it up. As an Xbox owner, okay, and an Xbox fan, Xbox owner, Xbox fan, I know that you love the product, you love the brand, you know what it is, you know what it offers. There's no swaying your ideals or your thoughts because first you're a gamer and second of all you're an adult and you make and base your opinions and you're based off your own experiences the way it should be. Unlike many new age gamers that they're really faking the funk and listen too much to, Metacritic and to
it's
websites that basically a lot of these guys, like for example, they have somebody I think it was in Times or Forbes do a review of Forza. I think it was Forza 6, and the guy doesn't even play video games, and he trashed the game. And I'm like, are you serious? This is supposed to be professional journalism. It doesn't make any sense. But that's neither here or there. Right. So as a gamer and fan of Xbox, excuse me, what is it that you are looking forward from E3 coming up soon, obviously, going forward to maybe possibly the ending of the Xbox One generation to the next Xbox, if you will, from Microsoft? What do you want from them? You rather have them concentrate more on the hardware to compete with the so-called upcoming PlayStation Neo upgrade, or would you rather them concentrate more on what they basically been doing, which is games, new IPs, beautiful and wonderful new features that are more like tools, not just features that will make the experience more enriching and engrossing as you use the console on a day-to-day basis. So, in your own words, what you as an Xbox fan are looking forward to the future on the Xbox brand, on the Xbox console.
Okay, yeah. So if I'm thinking about E3, I know there's a lot of talk about new console, new hardware, upgrades, and all that kind of stuff. For me, to be perfectly honest with you, and I don't have a problem with any of that. And in fact, I think that's what E3 is for. I'm not one of these guys that are like, well, it just okay. So personally, let me just say this first. Personally, in my own opinion, it's all about the games.
Absolutely,
it's all about the games. And when I say games, I mean like games. Like I'm gonna be selfish here, man. I'm at a point now. As I own this XP1, I have my own YouTube channel. I've been preaching the gospel of Microsoft and Xbox, right?
He said the gospel. I love that. Yeah, go ahead.
As we get accused of, right? Because we're mindless. Anyway, what people say that we do. But I'm gonna, if I'm gonna be accused of that, and I'm gonna be a little bit selfish here, and I'm gonna say that what I want is I want my Rise 2.
Absolutely, I'm with you there. Rise 2.
Right.
We need to start protesting right now.
I want my Sunset Overdrive sequel because I absolutely love that game. I want my Forza Horizon 3, which I know they're coming out with. I want games, and I want games that I want, and I want games, and they're giving it, and Microsoft is giving us that. But if you're asking me specifically what I'd love to see, if that curtain drops, and then the first thing you show is Rise Son of Rome Part 2, or Rise Medieval Age, because from my understanding, what they were planning to do, Crytek, was to go into the medieval age. It didn't have to stay in the Roman period. So
right.
That was something that I would like to look forward to about the games. And like I said, I'm not opposed to the hardware. I'm not opposed to the VR stuff. I mean, that's what E3 should be about. I'm not one of these guys that sits there, well, when they launch, well, it should be all about the games. It should be all about the games.
Right. It could be about everything as long as it.
Yeah, it's an expo. Right. It's an expo. It's exposition. Okay, you're putting out your wares. Is what they're selling you stuff. I mean, now in the gaming thing, they've gotten better. It's not just about the marketing, right? But it's an exposition. They're there to show you what they have, what their wares, and then you decide, right, what is worth getting and what is not getting. The problem I have with people nowadays is that they don't use their own minds. I don't have a problem when we sit down and we speculate about stuff. If it doesn't come into fruition, it doesn't kill me because it's called speculation, right? We don't know.
It was speculation to begin with. Right. It was speculation to begin with. Right.
We don't work at Microsoft. I bet you a lot of people that work at Microsoft aren't in. I mean, I work for a big organization. It's called the federal government.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, the right and the left don't know what they're. Not everybody's gonna know everything. If somebody's telling you they know everything, they don't. I don't ever believe that.
I agree.
So get excited, right? Look forward to what they have to offer, but take everything with a grain of salt, and so that you don't get disappointed. Because I know a lot of times us as fans, we're like, oh, they got the Connect and it said it could do this, or DX12 it can do this and this, and and then it doesn't come out the way you think it is. It's just like watching an
Right.
episode of a TV show. Let's use Lost for example. Lost was a huge TV show, right?
Okay.
Everybody was all into that show, and then because there was so much things that they would just give you but they wouldn't explain it, so then you'd formulate in your head what it could be. Like when the guy had the numbers was a big thing on the show. What could the numbers mean? And I would go on these chat boards, man, and read what people would come up with, and they would come up with, it was so good. I'd say, you guys should be writing. That's how good they come up with, all these little things about with the numbers and stuff like that. Then when it doesn't get answered in the show, or it doesn't fit what people think it should be, then they get frustrated and they quit watching. You see the same thing every year with E3, right? Where Microsoft, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. I borrowed that from the Tuckmaster, right? Yeah, shout out to Tuckmaster, man. And what it is that sometimes in our own heads we formulate all this kind of stuff. If it doesn't turn out that way, we kind of it's kind of our own fault. So take things with a grain of salt. Be excited, man. Be happy. It's the only reason I watch E3, man, because it's like I'm a little kid again, dude. Like when we were younger, like the first time I saw Mooncrest in that barbershop. That's what I look for. That's the experiences I want to get from E3. That's what E3 to me is all about, right? It's the exposition. Right. It's them showing what they have. It's about it's about the pomp and circumstance. It's about all of that stuff, man. But you just got to keep things in perspective, and I think people lose that. So I'm looking forward to all of it, man. But if you're asking me specifically I want to see the games, because we're 3 or 4 years into this next gen hardware, and I want to see the third or fourth generation or the next generation games, because we're at a point now where you should be seeing that. We got a taste of that with Quantum Break. I'm looking forward to seeing Forza Horizon 3, because it's that in-house developers that give you that sweet spot, because they're the ones that work directly for the company and will take advantage of the hardware, unlike other developers who, let's be honest, a lot of these guys have been lazy, right?
Well, they cater to the leading platform, which is the PlayStation right now. So if it's a little bit more work, if there's a little bit more work that needs to be done to the other console, it's not the leading platform, then they're not going to bother to do it as long as the game looks good. So
yeah. And that's it's the lowest common denominator, which I can understand the business aspect of it, but it's not. And this is where we get into that console war thing, which I don't partake, but I'll just mention this. When you're arguing with people about it, you sit there and you look at them, and it's like, it's the lowest common denominator, man. If I'm not being a fanboy, if you want to discuss it on terms, I'll just draw myself out of the fanboyism and just look at it as a consumer. Like when I have issues with people that are Sony fans. Right. And if I look at people that have issue with Sony fans, they make the mistake that I'm approaching this as a Xbox guy, and I'm looking at them like, I used to own a PlayStation. I owned a PlayStation 2. I had hundreds of games, bought and paid. PlayStation 2. I'm not comparing your PlayStation 4 to the Xbox One. I'm comparing your PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 2, and there's nothing on that system that I really want right now. So
grants the purchase fee, right? I get what you're
saying. There's nothing. I can get everything I need. I can get from the XP1. Now, granted, given the type of lifestyle I have right now, it just fits naturally. If you're younger, that could be different. But going back to what E3 is about, that's what it should be about. That's what it always should be about. It should be about everything. To be honest with you.
Right.
Because that's what E3 stands for. But we live in a time where Microsoft, and I feel for Microsoft, because people still talk about that first reveal and that first E3.
The thought, because it was a thought. They didn't go through with it. It was a thought. Yes, it was in place, but that is part of the reason why the Xbox One has taken so much time to get to where it is right now, because they had to completely reconstruct the interface and the hardware,
Even that ticks me off, because all of a sudden everybody was anti-Microsoft, and I'm like, dude, half you guys own the 360. I've heard you guys talk about the 360 and love the 360. Yet the XP1 is just an extension of the 360, but you guys are so hung up on this stuff. It didn't make sense to me, because the Xbox 360 was not the same console when it started off.
It's that bandwagon effect.
Right, it's the bandwagon effect. And then people were hung up on what was it? The old DV. I mean, what is it called when they were talking about dang man, I'm drawing a blank.
The DRM.
DRM
rights management.
Dude, the 360, the console broke. It literally broke. Like it stopped working. And I'm not talking like a couple thousand. I mean across the board. It was such a mass problem that everybody experienced it. I had the red ring of death. If we can get
Right.
through how the console started off to the red ring of death to actually being one of the top tier consoles of all time, and you got hung up on DRM and what was supposedly they were going to do, not proven, what they were supposedly going to
Right.
do, right?
Well, they had the courage to at least be honest about it. Come on.
Well,
That's
look at
another
their
thing.
faces. Look at
Sony
their
was
faces,
supposed to do
dude.
the same exact same thing, but
Right?
they lied about it. They kept
Yeah.
quiet until after the fact. Then Yoshida confirmed, yeah, we were kind of having the same thing in place, but we decided to not go through with it after the backlash that Xbox and Microsoft got. And Microsoft at least had the honesty and the courage to be forward and be truthful about it right from the beginning.
Dude, look at their faces. Go back and look at the faces on their video when they're getting questioned. They look shocked. That stuff came from right field because I know how they were thinking. I was like, well, we kind of did this with the 360, and the 360 sold up to 1 million. We kind of did really well with that system. So what we're going to do, we took what was great about the 360 and we're going to input it into the XB1. And what was that guy's name? Don Matrick, right?
Don
You know,
Matrix, yeah.
I don't. Then everybody's like, I'm all on Don Matrick. I'm like, dude, you get interviewed over. You do hundreds of
Well,
interviews. They keep asking the
not
same
to
question.
interrupt,
You're not going to
not
lose.
to interrupt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Go ahead,
Not
go
to interrupt you.
Yeah.
And not to for anything. But I've seen the interview a couple of times. He was not being snarky or like arrogant at all when he was speaking. He was just basically saying, listen, this console is designed for a different type of generation in a different way. If you still want to have a console that works for you and favors your liking in this way, then we still have at least a product that we can offer for those customers, which is the Xbox 360.
Right.
And that's generally what he was trying to say. And people were like, oh my God, look, what an arrogant prick, and this and that. But if you look at the interview, I didn't get that from him. I didn't think he was trying to be snarky or arrogant. I just think he was put in a position where it was very hard for him to answer a question that he couldn't really be totally vocal about, because again, they didn't say all the ins and outs of the console yet, because it was just the reveal, and he already had half of the media and the world down his throat, like, what the hell kind of shit Xbox is doing? Who the hell you think you are? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because people didn't understand what it was. So,
Well, he definitely. I'm pretty sure he was tired of hearing that same question asked over hundreds of times.
right.
That became the running story, not the great features that it had, and I take this personally.
What they were trying to do.
Right, and I take this personally because the reason I bought the console is because of that stuff, what they were going to do with it. Because and again, this might be a lot selfish, and I admit it probably is. I'm not going to lie about it, but I wanted all the stuff that they said. And the funny thing about it is, I think a lot of people would have liked it because the majority, when we're in this little, I mean, the gaming community is big, right? But I mean, the people that actually care about this stuff, I don't think it's like the majority. So the average person, I think it was given some time, it would have done it. So again, and how does this tie all the way back into E3? There was a time in E3 where people would actually like this stuff, that people would be excited. It'd be something new to see. It'd be like, wow, they're gonna pull this off. HoloLens, wow, that's pretty cool. Maybe that's not, like you said in the podcast with Tuckmaster, maybe that might not be your cup of tea, right? But is it going to move the industry forward, right? Or how can we benefit from this as a gaming community? I mean, gaming has actually pushed technology as well. I mean, it's like this effect, right? Throughout, causality. All of this stuff, kind of comes in together, like the pop culture we live in now. But when things become, like I said this on a lot of my videos, when this stuff becomes mainstream, right? This is kind of how we have problems with it, where E3 isn't just a expo for just us gamers. It's an expo for everybody. So everybody has these different opinions that you don't need to. And this is where I fault the media, which really pissed me off about them, is they ran with it because they wanted their clicks, right? A lot of these guys that work for the gaming industries, even though they might play video games, they're not knowledgeable about the industry in general.
Right.
You can see it in their writing. I even question a lot of their journalism. Dude, I just took a writing class, a basic writing class. There's a lot of stuff that people do every day online that's not journalistically ethical.
Right.
There's people that put stuff out there and you have no evidence. It's just like, okay, what's your source? Well, you don't have to put your source. Why? Because you're on the internet now.
Right.
So I don't have to source it.
Clickbait.
Yeah. It's clickbait. You put it out there, or they're just lazy. There's a lot of bad things that could be behind it, but the problem is once it gets out there, and then this stuff happens. Now, a lot of people, you guys sound salty. Yes, I am salty. I'm salty because to
Right.
me, this is the problem with this is the main problem with the
The
gaming industry.
disgrace.
Not the
Mhm.
720p, not even that developers aren't utilizing the hardware. We've been doing that. That's been happening for years. None of this stuff. Not VR. That's not the bad thing. It's just the way things are presented.
Yeah. Well, there
That
was a
actually
time when
affects it.
nobody can print anything,
Right.
especially a journalist, unless it was 100% proof before it got into publication. You
Well,
know,
yeah, because you could get sued.
and if they did that without it and without the
Yeah.
proof and made that magazine or company or newspaper look bad, you got fired. They lost their job
Well,
for that. You see?
they would lose their job because the person they're writing about could turn around and use that against them. We live in a digital
Mhm.
age where everybody's like, who cares, Yeah, I don't buy the games. Who
Mhm.
cares? Yeah. And then stuff like
Right.
that. And I don't care that you don't buy the games, but if you don't buy the game, don't review it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You should
Well,
play
it's
it
like I
first.
argued today, right? It's like I was arguing today. You're absolutely right. Where somebody's telling me, you know, well, I was trying to tell him that the guy from Giant Bomb, he reviewed Quantum Break, he gave it a
Right.
2 because he doesn't like those type of genre or that type of genre in gaming, but yet he keeps reviewing those games like The Order 1886 and Gears of War Ultimate, and he keeps trashing these games.
And that
But
blows my mind.
if you don't like that genre, how you keep reviewing them? Review genres that you like, because you're not
Right.
going to give a fair assessment or a fair review or your
Right.
fair opinion. It's not going to be real because you don't like it. It's like me telling you, go fix my toilet, and you're not even a plumber.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
just, that logic makes no sense.
I can do it. I can try to do it, but it ain't. You
But
probably won't be
more than
happy.
likely, you're going to mess something up. Exactly.
So look, like the baby metal thing, right? I came to the realization about this with how you present yourself, right? Because I was like, look, because I'll write, absolutely love the group, but if you do not like that group, right,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna like the music, no matter what I tell you, right?
Right.
If that's not your genre, that's not your style,
Right.
if that's not your music, if you're a purist, there's things that you won't be able to get past, right? So when I give a review, I kind of put that out there. I wish these people would at least do that much, like say, hey, look, this isn't my thing, or like the disclaimer that says that, not in your review, you know what I mean? After you trash it, and then you throw a little blurb in there. Look, and that's what I've been talking about when I give my thoughts videos. I like, look, nobody knows the game better than you do. I'm just going to tell you guys what I like, what I didn't like, and you make your own determination. Because I really believe that in order for you to understand if you truly like something or not, you got to at least try it.
Right. Absolutely. You won't get your real experience unless you play it yourself. That's
Right.
just the bottom line. That's a fact with
And
anything
you know
in
what?
life. The fact.
And I think as gamers, we kind of benefit from that as being Sega fans, because Sega's always had the quirky, weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That you kind of have to. There's layers in their games. Like if you just at face value you play certain games that were Sega made by
But they
Sega, you
didn't.
might not get that full effect.
Right. But they didn't do it in a cheap way where they just did it,
No,
make it
no.
look different and quirky, but didn't have the substance in the game. They actually put substance. The problem nowadays is they'll make something look different and quirky, but then when you play it, it's actual garbage. You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
That's also another point that we got to take into consideration. So
yeah,
forever, I'm with you as far as the games. I definitely want to see Alan Wake 2. Please, Alan Wake 2.
yeah.
And,
Alan Wake 2.
and I would love to see a new Jet Force Gemini since they did the trademark again.
Right. Well,
I
I
would
want
love
a
to
new
see-
cameo. I
Maybe a
want
new
a new
cameo
cameo.
too.
I want a new cameo game. I want a platformer. I'm a huge platformer. I want a new cameo. I want a new Viva Pinata. Absolutely love that game.
A new Conquer, a new Battletoads. We need more beat 'em ups. We don't have
Right.
beat 'em ups anymore. We need beat 'em ups. Double Dragon 5. I don't care, whatever. Just something new, fresh. From or rebranding something or reinvigorating it from something in the past that we don't have anymore.
Right.
So I'm gonna segue myself to the last question with this topic. So we could end it after close up after this question. And this is a question that I try to ask everyone that's been a guest on my segment in this show. Basically is Miss Sega Forever or Xbox All In, whichever one you prefer. What game that you have played in your whole life as a gamer that maybe wasn't very popular, maybe extremely obscure, or something that people just hated that you played, that was rare also, that you liked, and what and why, and on what console, if you will share that with us and let me know.
Wow, that's tough.
Take
Well,
your time.
one game just popped into my head, but I know there's others, and I'm kind of hesitant to say this game because it's the first thing that just popped into my head. Um, oh, there's a lot, man. Being Sega fans, uh,
Mhm. Well, I mean, there
you-
was a lot of games that people never played, that
yeah,
I'm
there's a
pretty sure
lot.
me and you played, and they're like, "Oh, what was that?" You see what I'm saying? That's why I
Yeah,
like to ask this question to my guest.
wow. Because the Sega can, being a Sega fan, I could just pick out this from the Sega library alone, and a lot of it's just not the play. It just wasn't the people that played the games; it was the distribution. It was the company itself, because you couldn't get some of these games. Wow, that's a good one. You know what I'm gonna go with, man? Shining Force 3.
Oh, nice, nice. Shining
Shining
Force
Force 3.
3. Nice,
And the
nice.
reason the reason why I say that is because we got it here. Camelot is probably one of my all-time favorite developers of all time. Used to absolutely love that company. I put them right up there with Treasure from back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like if for those of you guys who don't know these people, I'll just equate them to like platinum games on a platinum games level.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like super huge, but they're kind of right there. And then they have that panache. They got that credibility.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a platinum games, you know what to
Everything.
expect. You know
Mm-hmm.
what kind of game you're going to get. You know what to expect. You know the quality is going to be there, and there's going to be enough. There's enough of everything. That you're going to get from platinum games, which is why the industry is dying as well, because we need more developers like that. Um,
Right.
yeah. So your treasures and your Camelot, I'll put them along the same line. I say Shining Force 3 because it's a JRPG. It was on the Saturn.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful pick. It was a good game. I never got into the Shining Force series per se, but I always read about the reviews for them, and I know that it was very beloved. I know it had a good following, and I know the games used to get pretty decent reviews. As far as I remember, when I used to read Game Pro and EGM back then. So
Oh
Shining
wow,
Force
game,
Three
yeah.
is, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. So it's one, even Nintendo Power and even the Sega Vision, that we used to
Yeah,
have. So I think it's a wonderful pick. But of course, I never asked the question without
sure.
being fair, because I am the host, and
Yeah.
so I like to ask. I like to say what game I remember, because I just want to make it fair playing field, so
Yeah,
my
sure,
guests
good.
don't feel I put them in the spot by themselves. So I'm gonna pick DJ Boy for the Sega Genesis. It was actually an arcade game from
Wow.
a
Yeah.
company called iCree, I believe, or Acrim, and it came out in Japan. Very niche title. It was like a beat 'em up with a little boy on skates, and he was a DJ. Uh, and then it came out a couple years later on the Genesis, but I believe it came out first originally in Japan and was released in Japan first, and then made its way to the North America. I could be wrong, but because it's been a long time, I'm getting older, and then when you get older, you forget the
I
exact.
feel you. I feel you,
You
man.
feel the exact. You forget the exact details, but at
Yeah.
least I try my best, and I'm man enough to admit if I'm wrong or not. But that's pretty much as far as I remember. So DJ Boy is one of my favorite all-time obscure and niche titles from back in the day on the Sega Genesis. I don't know if
Well,
you ever played it, but
Well, I
go
think,
ahead.
well,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
like you're saying, it's the same thing with Shining Force 3. I mean, it was overshadowed by anything Final Fantasy, and of course, PlayStation and Sony were killing it on the JRPGs back in the day. That a lot of people just naturally gravitated. I did the same thing. I played a lot of JRPGs on my PlayStation and PlayStation 2. But the thing about Shining Force 3, it was a quality title, but it fell under that cloud of Final Fantasy, right? So Final Fantasy was all. That's what people gravitated to. It was so it was so it was so niche, I would say, just for the simple fact that the first game was awesome, but they had two more episodes afterward that never made it over here. They actually stayed in Japan, and I was going to actually import them, but it's so text heavy, and there
Right.
was no translation. And at the time, somebody was working on a manual, because I used to play All Japan Pro Wrestling, and
Oh,
All
yeah,
Japan
I
Pro
love
Wrestling
that
had the other
wrestling game.
one.
Yeah, very good wrestling.
But you had to like get there. People would print out these manuals that would translate everything, right? So you could actually play the game. But I don't think it ever came out for Shining Force 3. By the time I was waiting for it, because I was actually thinking of getting the games, importing them, because I modded my console. You remember the Saturn had that drive, that extra, what is it, 4 gigs? Was it 4 gigs or 4 megabits? I forget.
What was 4 gig?
Your Saturn, you would mod it, so you could play Street Fighter versus
Oh yeah, it had the
Capcom versus.
4 megabyte. It had the four megabyte and 8 megabyte cartridge that you could put in the back.
Right.
It was a cartridge slot, and
Yeah.
that was the way that you were able to get the better frame rates and all the
Yes.
animations for Street Fighter versus I think it was X-Men.
Was it X-Men?
They used it for it was Street Fighter versus X-Men.
Okay.
You were able to use
Oh yeah, it
for
was.
Dungeons and Dragons. You were able to use it for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, yes.
Arcade. You were able to use it for Symphony of the Night, Castlevania.
Right.
And you were able to use it for, I think, was Dark Stalkers, which had
That's right. That's right.
Japanese version was Dark Saviors.
Yeah. And I think wasn't Silver Star another one? Lunar Silver Star story, wasn't that?
Oh yeah, Lunar Silver Star. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I mean, it's just because and it just brought that to my mind because you said about it being niche and in Japan. I mean, it never. I think the potential.
Lunar Star.
Because I let my friend borrow it. I let him borrow my Saturn and the entire system and the game because he's a big Final Fantasy fan. And he's like, "What's so great about this game?" And he played it, and he came back that weekend. He's like, "Wow, this game was absolutely amazing," But he was just a PlayStation guy. See, even back then, dude, they just had PlayStation guys.
Right. Well, Lunar came to the PlayStation console as well, but it started, I believe, in the Genesis era and then the Saturn era.
Oh, the CD, right?
Yeah, Sega CD, absolutely.
Sega CD, yeah.
Listen, I'm a historian here. I know what I'm saying. No, I'm just joking.
I know. I feel out of place, man. I'm trying to draw from memory, and I'm firing blanks here, man. I'm like, whoa.
No. You're doing fine. You're doing fine. I love it. I love speaking with you. You're, like I said, it's wonderful. So forever. We're gonna finish up the segment. I'm gonna give my final thoughts, kind of like in the vein of Jerry Springer. But after that, I want you to plug your channel, say anything maybe that's upcoming that you may be doing. I'll do a couple plugs to my channel and some what you call it, and some groups that I'm in, and then we'll go from there. Sounds good?
Sure. Yeah, that'll work, man.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you 100% and so much for being so kind and wonderful to take the time to do this for me in my channel and allowing me to have the privilege to interview you on a more personal level so that the audience, the YouTube community, the gaming community, Xbox community, and whoever else may watch in the future could see a better side and a different side of you, to see that, you are who you are and you're the real deal and what you bring to your channel and your thoughts and, come straight from your heart as a true gamer and from your soul, from an experienced gamer, not that you're just trying to be a bandwagon jumper or just that you just started this ball game, a couple of days ago. You're one of the rooters. You're one of the true gaming historians and gamers, that are still around, that are in the, YouTube scene and Xbox community, obviously. So, I'm going to give some final thoughts. And again, I can't thank you enough for being so kind and doing this for me. I will forever be grateful for you for this. I hope that we can do more in the future. If I'm here for you, we're more than just YouTubers, we're friends. Although you may live on the other side of the world, we will always be friends as far as I'm concerned. And if you ever need anything from me, don't hesitate. Don't feel embarrassed or ashamed. Go right ahead. Just ask me if I can do it for you. I will. That's not a problem. I just want you to know that straight from the heart.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I appreciate that, bro.
No problem. No problem.
It's just no. Thank you for this, man. I'm a huge fan of yours as well. I love the series, man. We talked about this. I love the series that you're doing, man. I think it's great because I think you have a natural gift for this kind of stuff.
Well, I'm trying.
Making people feel comfortable, making them feel at ease, and then you bring out really, really significant topics. I mean, I listen to your podcast all the time, especially at work, when I'm doing stuff. It's just easy to kind of fit in there. And, I do a lot of repetitive stuff at my job. So listening to your podcast just helps make it go by even faster.
Well, Well, I'm
No,
glad
but
I had the ability to gain a fan in you. I guess is what I'm saying.
and not just a fan, dude, respect, you know, because like you, man, you know a lot of stuff about
Likewise.
gaming. I feel like not that I say I'm your intellectual equal, but it's just easier to talk to somebody who's experienced it, who knows it and experiences it. And I think we have a lot of people like that in the Xbox community. Like I've talked to Big Kahuna. Um, talking to him, he knows a lot about life in general. I like
Right.
listening. I like listening. I've never talked to Worry Word. I like listening to his point of view and
Oh
his
yeah,
perspective.
Maury Ward too. Yeah. Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
hat tip to him.
Yes.
Showstopper, definitely like his stuff. I know he hasn't been doing stuff,
Absolutely.
but we have our gems, man, and even some of the young, and it's not just an age thing.
Hmm.
Um, you can, just the gamers we have in the Xbox community, they're gamers. They like their games.
Everybody's bringing something, uh,
Right.
uh, that we can, get from and grow from. Everybody brings in their own take, and it's refreshing. It's a good thing. I don't think
Right.
nobody's wasting their time. People like Kenny Thomas, that's very quiet but very supportive. He's always supportive, always, everywhere on YouTube, on Twitter, and I don't see a lot of people reaching out to him, and he's a very good guy, and even though he may think people may not notice, but someone like myself, like you, we've noticed definitely,
He's
you
awesome.
know,
I like listening to his daily news just so I can, I don't
right,
like the sucker punch. That's why I don't go to
right. He
the main
always keeps you up
channels.
to date to the news in case you
Yeah.
missed it. Absolutely,
Right, and he's and
absolutely.
he's and he's right there. I mean, he has his opinions too, and it's great. But it's his. The way he is like I just picture him being that way. So and I trust his reporting because he always provides the links and stuff like that. He just doesn't talk about it.
Right,
Um,
absolutely.
and then you got people that are outreach. I think our community is great. I think we went through a little schism in that first 2 years,
Hmm.
where people are trying to find each other. But please don't get me wrong. I think we need debate, and I think we need to be different. We're definitely not
Hmm.
getting it from the other side. There was a time, like again, when we were gaming back in the day, man. You could trust people's opinions because they were gamers first and foremost. So even though
Right,
they might not have, they preferred Mario over Sonic, they would play a Sonic game. They would
right,
buy a Sega Genesis. They just
right,
preferred one over the other. So you could trust
right.
their opinion. Nowadays, you don't get a lot of that. So I really love that we do have disagreements. I could do without the drama. The drama I'm not all about, but we need to be disagreeable because
Hmm.
we technically in the Xbox community we only have each other,
Well, it
to be
keeps it
honest.
fresh. You don't get bored that way. And
Well,
when,
and it keeps us all honest because
hmm,
like
hmm,
I said before, the PlayStation guy would actually trust their opinion, but you can tell, Quantum Break, it just sucks. You know,
right, right.
you know?
And they haven't even played it. Oh, I saw videos of it.
Yeah.
That's why I know. Yeah, okay,
Well, they got that game
exactly.
like Gravity. Well, we got the game Gravity coming out. That's just as good as Quantum Break. Oh my
Gravity
God,
Rush.
yeah,
Yeah, the
Gravity Rush.
Gravity
I'm
Rush.
like,
The
I'm
PS
like,
Vita repurposed
yeah.
game. Yeah,
And
I
I'm not
know.
trying
I
to
know.
pick on him, dude. I'm not trying to
Portable.
pick on
Yeah,
him.
exactly.
Right,
No,
but
but
then
it's
when
true.
when you
It's
say
true.
something like that to me in a comment and you're serious,
That's it. I don't even want to talk to you no more.
and I'm like,
Exactly.
oh God,
Absolutely.
I'm like, dear Lord,
Absolutely.
help me. I'm like, I'm
Yes.
moving, I'm going now.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Ooh,
You're right.
I got a
You're right. Not
notification.
to
I
say
gotta
that
go.
Gravity Rush is a bad game. It's just not on the same level as
Yeah,
far as
yeah.
production value.
Yeah,
That's just
and I'm not
reality.
saying, yeah,
So
and maybe
mhm.
you like Gravity, maybe you like that game better than Quantum Break. I'm not saying that either, but
Right, right,
just
right, and you
if we're
can,
just
and that's
looking at
fine.
it, yeah, if you're just looking at it just on production value alone, size, scope, there's a lot of stuff that
It's
goes
like
into
it's
this
like
stuff.
us saying that Ori is better than Quantum. Ori might be better for me as far as the gameplay style, but realistically speaking, we
Yeah,
know that it's not on the same production value. That's impossible. We're just
and we
not
wouldn't
that
think of,
stupid or that
and we wouldn't,
ignorant.
yeah, and we wouldn't think of comparing it. When they
Right,
have like
right.
when Uncharted or
Two
whatever
different
their
types,
big game,
different
don't,
levels.
what they have don't they have one game coming out this year? PlayStation guys, what is it? Quantum Break, not Uncharted, right? Isn't Uncharted coming out this year?
Uncharted,
Like their
like
big
Triple A
AAA title?
Uncharted.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so like when Uncharted comes out, like I play Flood in the Flame, right?
Right.
An indie game on there. I'm not going to say, well, Flood in the Flame is exactly the same thing. In fact, it's better because the compression and they get into these like really crazy arguments about it. And I'm gonna say, what I'm gonna say to you as a Sony guy? Congratulations, you
Right.
got your AAA. I know you guys have been waiting for this title because I know a lot of my friends are waiting for it, man. And this isn't being sarcastic or anything. Like, hey, man, enjoy your game, bro. Have fun, enjoy the game. This is one of your flagship titles. You guys are gonna love it.
Right.
So
Right.
go have fun with it.
Absolutely. Well,
Right.
with that being said, we could all agree to disagree, and I agree with
Exactly.
you. And that's the best part about it. So I'm going to segue myself into the final thoughts.
Go
So
ahead.
here we go. Community. gamers, YouTubers. I don't know how much times and how many times I can say it and stress it and repeat myself, but I've said it for so many reasons, and this is one of them. This is proof positive, especially with today's episode. Shows you how unique our hobby and our pop culture has become. That we can meet and talk to all types of different people from all around the world and get this close bond of friendship, gaming, acknowledgement, knowledge, even what would you say, thoughts of ideals, that move the industry forward, not only through the actual games, but now through this new venue of medium. It's which is YouTube. That we don't just have to rely on the IGNs and on the GameTrailers.com. We actually have it from the actual real heart and soul of the gamers that have been gaming for so many years, that are true gamers, and that are true have a true love for this hobby of gaming. Not to make myself sound like a broken record, but the uniqueness of gaming will keep us together for many years to come, as long as we don't let it go away and deteriorate with the silliness and the ignorance of not wanting to play games because of resolution, or because of the differences in reconstructural graphics, instead of really paying attention to what is most needed and what is very important, which is how fun a game really is. So gaming holds no bias, and gaming holds no racism. It doesn't matter who you are, young, old, and new. Like I've said before, we are all in this together. And it's something that I love dear, and it's very close to my heart. And for so many that I've gotten to know, like Mr. Sega Forever. And it's something that I want to treasure and hope that it stays with me until the day I die. So please, let's grow together and learn how to respect what it is and what it really rooted from, instead of being silly and showing our ignorance of worrying about things that are not as important. Getting to know people like a Sega Forever through YouTube has been a glorious experience for me. Okay. So for all you others out there that think that YouTube is just, something that we use as a tool just to expose ourselves, we don't realize how special of a tool this really has become and will become for years to come. And I hope that we continue to help each other grow instead of worrying about each other's. Selfishness is not a word that should be in the world of gaming. Sega Forever, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, you want to plug anything for your channel, do so now, and then I'll continue from there. And thank you for joining me again.
No, you know what? Thanks for having me. This has been really enjoyable. Of course, every time I talk to you, it's fun. Putting it on a podcast, though, I know it's a little different. But yeah, thanks for inviting me. Thank you for having me on this
Always
series,
a
man.
pleasure.
Dude, you have some heavy hitters on here, so I'm just glad to be here. Thank you for doing that
Oh
for me.
no.
So yeah, so I am Sega Forever. You guys can look me up on XB1, Xbox One. That is my gamer tag, and it's exactly as it sounds, capitals all the way across. SEGA, the number 4 EVA. Just send me a friend request, man. You like the game? If I'm on, I'll game with you. If you guys want to follow me on YouTube, my channel is Xbox All In. And the reason why I have that is because I believe Xbox to be the all-in-one system. That's the reason why I bought an Xbox One. It was the sole purpose because it's supposed to provide every type of entertainment avenue that I enjoy. If you guys come to my channel, you'll see that I'm a pop culture channel as well as a gaming channel. And everything I do on my channel, I can do it right on my XP1. And that's why I'm an Xbox Pro Xbox channel.
Wonderful.
No better than anybody else, but it's just that's what I do.
Wonderful. I can't stress enough, guys, please go support his channel, become part of the movement. He has great content. He keeps it fresh, and most importantly, it comes from the heart. I can't stress that enough. And for me, all I can say is come join me and the gang at intromediagaming.com with Mr. 100 leading the way, the champion, the king of all supporters on Twitter, on YouTube. This man asks for nothing in return, but he continues to give to all of us, and we don't give him enough recognition. So shout outs to Mr. 100, Miss DeLeon, sure enough, Cyclonus, J Long 908, Tuckmaster, and so many more like myself that are
K
on
Mega,
there.
K Mega
They K
405.
Mega, yes,
Yeah.
K Mega 405, Pop Off Gaming, Pothead Gaming, you name it, they're there. They're all different. They all bring something fresh and different to the table, and you cannot go wrong. It's gaming in different points of views. What more can you ask for? So come join us, join the fun, and join the movement. These are for upcoming YouTubers that are not really well known, that are starting to grow and starting to get some type of recognition. So your support is greatly appreciated. And for myself, my channel is Hebot at YouTube, capital H hyphen capital B. The rest of the words and letters rather are all lowercase. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and remember, if you subscribe, is greatly appreciated because you become part of the family, because I know you don't have to. And we have also a gaming group called World of Xbox / Windows 10 device. If you want to come speak games on our forums and chat, we do not allow any trolls, any stupidity, any ignorance. You're more than welcome to try to join. And if we see that you're serious, we'll let you in. Again, like I said, forever thanks again. Audience, I hope you enjoy. For all those who watch as time goes on, thank you ahead of time. And I'll see you soon. Mi sala is now officially closed. Thank you.